And we are live. Welcome to the 8th session of our Three Brothers D&D 5th edition campaign. When we last left our heroes, the Drow Zan, Watoomb and the Dragonborn Drax were in the Church of Abraham, where they had been questioning an unfortunate fellow who'd been poisoned seemingly by some sort of large snake or something along those lines. The man had been almost in a fever, a delirium. However, Zan had been able to make a herbal tonic that temporarily allowed him to regain consciousness. The man mentioned that he'd attempted to stop someone fleeing from the common sword who was swathed in large hooded robes. And when he'd attempted to stop him, this person had bit him, and this poison had somehow entered his system. He'd lost consciousness shortly afterwards. He did recall that the figure of the assailant had been wearing a curved dagger at his waist and had mentioned something about a key shortly before our unfortunate poisoned person lost consciousness. Drax then inferred that it may be connected with the assailant who'd attempted to break into his quarters at the Common Sword Tavern. The evidence that he found when this person had left had been a few translucent soft scales, like those you might see, as Zan rightly said, shed from a snake. He'd also found a piece of parchment torn off on the edge of the window, which had a very rough sketch of a wand resembling that carried by Watoomb. Perhaps that's what the person was looking for, we don't know. And we left those three heroes there. Unfortunately, Avaestar early on at him, due to a series of unfortunate events, Lemony Snicket style, had imbibed far too much of the fine beverages that Battlebridge has to offer, and had been laid out unceremoniously in one of the aptly named drunk cots at the Hound and Harlequin Brewery, which has a small pub attached to it. And it doesn't really have rooms, but just a couple of cots for like people who've drank in which to like, sleep it off for a few hours. So that is pretty much where we're going to be picking up the start of this session. So I'm actually going to start, if I remove the title screen, and there we go. I'm actually going to start with Avaestar. Avaestar, you've obviously passed out drunk at the Hound and Harlequin in one of the drunk cots, and as you fall asleep, you dream, and in your dream you are stood within Battlebridge. You can see familiar buildings, but there's a thick mist hanging everywhere. The shapes of the buildings are just sort of silhouetted through this very thick mist. As you look around, you can see there's a young man, a human, wearing armor. He's stood next to you and he's looking up into the sky. As your gaze follows him up, you can see what appears to be a huge light, almost like a spotlight, shining down onto the town of Battlebridge and sort of swinging its way around the city as though it's searching for something. And as you sort of follow the beam up, you can see this, what appears to be this huge golden eye hovering in the air above Battlebridge, this light emanating from it, scanning over the various streets of Battlebridge. The young man who stood next to you in all his armour turns his head. He's a little bit pale, but he turns his face towards you and says, "The eye's searching for you."
Me? What is it? Why?
He nods and smiles a bit sadly, and then he says, "I see you don't recognise me as I was before we made the promise to protect the Great Seal. But you know me as I am now." And as he says that, this wind, almost from nowhere, this huge wind, gusting dust and mist through the streets, wafts over your clothes, whip around. You have to shield your face from the wind. And through your fingers, you can just see this human man in armour stood there, sort of unprotected against the savagery of this storm. And as he stands there, the wind sort of tears his flesh away from his bones and ages his armour until within a few seconds you find yourself looking upon the face of the spectral soldier that you once glimpsed through the window of the Common Sword.
What is that eye? Why don't you just tell me?
he turns towards you and his jaw opens, but no sound other than a sort of dusty, rasping noise emanates from him. With a skeletal finger, he turns and points upwards towards the eye. And as he does that, you hear a... Indeed, you wake up to find this knocking sound is still present. You're a bit disorientated at first. It takes you a while to realise that as you wake up, you're no longer in the Hound and Harlequin brewery in the back room in one of the drunk cots. It looks for all the world like you're in your old quarters at the Common Sword.
Am I feeling sort of a lot of pain, generally hungover?
Yeah, you feel extremely hungover, but aside from that, you're none the worse for wear. It sounds as though you've been woken up by someone like knocking on one of the doors of the other room just across the corridor.
If that's a stable boy come to fill my bath, I will be so happy.
You don't hear any sound other than a door creaking open and closing, so you assume it's just like someone going into a room across the way. You're still sort of like bleary-eyed at this point and like, oh, my head.
So it was someone knocking on the other side of the corridor, was it?
It sounds like it, yeah. There's certainly, it's not someone knocking on your door.
Okay. So that must have all just been a bad dream with the ball. I start looking for my invitation, since I'm convinced none of that actually happened at this point.
Sorry, you're looking for your what?
My invitation for the ball.
Ah, right, so you think that all the intervening events have not happened?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, not a problem. You look around, you would find wherever your invitation was at present. You are obviously in the present. I can't remember exactly what you did with it. I believe it was taken from you at the ball, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So you will not find it.
But then why am I back here? I'm supposed to be staying elsewhere. Oh, man.
As you sort of slowly start to sort of come a bit more to your senses and you look around the room, after a few moments your gaze falls on the door to your room and you see that on the door, pinned with what appears to be an elegant small knife, you would hazard a guess of elvish manufacture based on how it's shaped, is a small note. Which let me know if you can't read that and I'll read it out to you.
Okay. No, I can read it, it's fine.
Okay.
Sensible. Right, okay. So that did all happen. Shame. Okay. Advise you to find a second and practice. Right, where's Drax?
Okay, you look around your room, you don't see any sign of the others.
Is there a way to maybe contact downstairs, or would I have to actually go down there myself?
You would actually have to go down there yourself, yeah.
Okay, alright. In that case, I kind of get on a robe of some kind, try and wash my face, and sort of stagger down, trying to cling onto the banisters.
Okay, yeah, you are still sort of like clad in the clothes that you like passed out in the Hound and Harlequin, and to be honest, they're fairly ripe at this point.
No, I'll definitely change clothes.
Okay, not a problem. You search around the room, and obviously you don't find any alternate means of clothing yourself, since like your possessions aren't in this room. They don't have like bathrobes or anything like that. It's a tavern, so pretty much the only clothes in this room, apart from maybe a bed sheet if you wanted to like toga it, are the fairly stinky sweat-soaked clothes that you're wearing. There's a faint smell of like slightly vinegary wine and stale beer about your clothing.
Okay, do I have any perfume or something similar.
All of your equipment that you were carrying is still on you, so if you have any of that in your equipment list, you can obviously give yourself a quick spritz.
All over. Right, Watoomb first, Drax next. I need to get him to clean my clothes again. So I head downstairs.
Not a problem. You head downstairs and you see that since it's noon, it's starting to get a little bit busy. You can see the young half-elven man, Finnan, is behind the bar. He looks up as you enter. There's a slight smile on his face, and he says, afternoon. Feeling a bit better, are you?
No, terrible.
As well, you were. I don't mean to speak ill of you, sir, but you were in a bit of a state when you came in.
I don't even remember.
That other fella had to carry you in over his shoulder. I had to help him carry you upstairs.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Anyway, have you seen my companions anywhere?
No, not seen them since the last time you were all here together.
I need them. I need them to sort out my clothes. All my clothes are missing, apart from the ones I've got on.
Well, I'm sorry, sir. I don't know what to tell you. Since Nyarg's been taken off, I've been at the bar pretty much non-stop. So I've seen everyone who's come in and gone out, and your friends ain't here.
Oh yes, that's right. Your half-orc person arrested, wasn't he?
Yeah, my father's over at the Civic Tower at the minute trying to sort it all out. So I'm pretty much having to look after the place on my own, really. Run off my feet, especially when it's starting to get busy now. And he points around at all the locals who are slowly filling up the bar, mostly sort of like fishermen, smattering of carpenters, working people that were sort of like on their break, on their like dinner hour, effectively.
Yes, well, unfortunately, this is when most people tend to eat during the day. Would I be able to order some food?
He says, yeah, of course. What do you want? We've got some nice fresh fish in. Just been bought in a few hours ago. So some of that out.
Fabulous, thank you. No bones, though, please.
He goes, well, it's going to have bones, sir. It's fish.
Can't you fillet them out? No, get a knife and just scrape it off.
All right, all right, sir. All right. I can do, but it'll take a little bit longer. We don't normally get asked for that.
You wouldn't possibly want me to choke after all the ordeal I went through last night.
Says, well, no, to be honest, sir, I'm sure that Finnan would be happy not to clean up any more of your vomit, sir, so...
Absolutely.
Well, I'll get it done for you, sir, but like I say, it will take me a bit longer because I'm running the place on my own, so... And he sort of says, just wait there a few minutes. Like I say, it'll be a few minutes. Just hold on a sec. You hear someone over the bar goes, where's my bread and cheese? I've been waiting for ages. And he's like, yeah, I'll be with you in a minute, sir. I'll be with you in a minute. Sorry, we're a bit short-staffed. I'm doing the best I can. And he sort of looks to you and he's like...
I know, just...
He runs
a glass of water as well, please.
Yeah. He puts some water on the bar for him and he runs into the back and you hear the sound of like frantic chopping as he's getting his food ready. He comes out with like loads of plates like piled on him, like he's doling out, and then he puts this filleted mackerel down next to you. It's got some sort of sauce with it, like possibly like a gooseberry sauce or something similar. Sort of looks like it's been fairly unceremoniously and hurriedly sort of like plopped on the side of the plate. But the fish is cooked and you can see that he's crudely, but you know, it has been filleted. He's obviously done it in a rush, but he plonks it down next to you and then he rushes off to like put some more plates down for like, other people, and he's generally running around like a madman trying to collect all the glasses, serve people food, pour drinks out. You see like sweat pouring down his face as he's like, yeah, I'll be there in a second, sir. Yeah, just a moment, sir.
So I'm assuming that he just sort of buggers off straight away after he's delivered my food. So I just lean over to the person, like the nearest person to me, and says, gooseberry sauce? Sure, this would be better with a white wine vinaigrette. It doesn't possibly suit fish. And I sort of shake my head and laugh a little bit, but then I try and sort of use my fork to sort of dissect the fish a bit and sort of eat that up.
The fisherman who stood next to you sort of like frowns a bit and he's like, what's the matter? Are fish not good enough for you? What's wrong with having gooseberry sauce with fish?
The fish is wonderful, but the gooseberry taste is rather sharp. I tend to prefer something a little more mellow.
He looks at you and sort of like sniffs a little bit and raises his eyebrows and goes, "Yeah, I can tell that."
Well, you know, when you're brought up to admire good taste, sir, then you get used to it and you simply appreciate it, I suppose.
He laughs and says, "And what part of good taste involves smelling like an ogre's armpit?"
Yes, now that I can explain. You see, I have travelled very far in these clothes. I thought I had all my clothes with me. I was going to change, but unfortunately, they're not in my wardrobe.
Oh, so what you're saying, are you some sort of like muckety muck who just like happens to have fallen on hard times? All right, I understand.
What?
Muckety muck, you know, big wig. Oh, yeah, that's right.
As in someone who is dirty, an urchin?
No, muckety muck. You know, like people who don't like walk the same streets as us. They have to get carriages everywhere because they don't want to get muck on their boots. You know, big wigs.
Well, getting muck on your boots is a bit
Whatever you want to call them.
I wouldn't like to be carried per se, but I'd certainly like to be carried around in something, say a coach. In fact, I did have a coach, but it was set on fire.
He says, "Well, look, to be honest, if you're open to go begging for some money, I'd come up with a far better story than this, to be honest. And it's got bells on it."
I have money, sir. Don't you worry about that. I just do not have any clothes. Do not worry. As soon as my headache surpasses, I'm going to go out and get some much better clothes than these, and then you'll be able to smell my proper cassolet.
Oh yeah, I'll make a note and look forward to that.
So I go back to my fish, thinking that I've totally nailed that argument.
He sort of stands there for a few minutes, and then he sort of picks up his plate and very quietly like moves off to another table. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to jump from the scene in the Common Sword to our heroes at the Church of Abraham. So Drax, Watoomb, and yourself, Zan, you all stood around where this poisoned fellow is, sort of like a little ways off. He's just relapsed into unconsciousness after telling you that this person mentioned a key, and he's sort of just sort of like. And the priests are putting like cold compresses and trying to keep him as comfortable as they can. Your herbal poultice, Zan, has bought him some time, but as we said previously, without a sample of the actual poison, it's difficult to make an effective sort of anti-venom. So you've just all been stood around, and I believe it was Drax has just said we need to take some sort of like affirmative action or something along those lines, and that's where we pick up with the three of you.
Yes.
I am as a hound who has sniffed a familiar shirt. This is clearly connected to the wand, and I would see it through to its end.
Yes, we must find the
Agreed.
creature that I would suggest a trap.
Well, he's clearly after the wand, is he not?
Yes.
Would you be willing to put that up as bait, Watoomb?
No.
He needn't actually put it up as bait. He need only pretend to leave it in his room again.
This wand is currently my life's purpose. Moreover, we have learned that it may be evil, and in the hands of the wrong person, might be capable of bringing harm to others. No, it is best I keep it with me until I learn what it means.
Very well.
Perhaps Cassandra could be persuaded to offer her wand as bait, or this victim here. Clearly, somebody wanted something from.
No one actually needs to offer their wand as bait. They just need to pretend. You need only pretend that you've left your wand in your room and you're going to be out of the tavern for a while, where in actuality someone will be lying in wait for this intruder.
That could work. Assuming this creature is not one step ahead of us already.
Like, do you think he already has the wand?
No, I mean, perhaps they are watching us or tracking us while we track it. He managed to get into the tavern without nobody noticing. Perhaps it's keeping an eye on us.
I look around. We're like in a room inside of the church, right?
Yeah, you're in like the sort of the small side
Okay.
chamber. You know, when you originally came when you were testing out the wands. That's where you are now.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just going to assume that this creature is not omniscient. If it did have it, and then we can try catch it. If it turns out to elude us, despite our best efforts, we can assume it was omniscient and seek another fight. Give up on this one.
We have no evidence to suggest it even knows of us. I am intrigued by this idea of yours to lay a trap. Yet I have only trapped small game.
I can't say I've never met a creature quite like this.
You do have evidence that he knows of you. How else would he know of your wand? And get the approximate room right. Why would he go into...
This is not the only one.
Clearly he knows that you have the wand. Clearly he has seen your group. Clearly he has decided, I must search through this person's rooms. Clearly he has mistaken your room for Drax's. But he wouldn't get you muddled up if he had not already seen your group.
Clearly you know more of this villain than I do. Perhaps you should be the one to set the trap.
I was thinking that. Or perhaps he just sent. Let him there. Yeah, so if the common sword didn't have all their rooms booked out, we could lay a trap there.
There are other places to stay within town. We merely need let it be publicly known where we are staying.
What did you do before this person attacked you?
Me? You're referring to me?
All of you. Both of you.
I was not attacked by this person.
He was in my room. And when I tried to get answers out of him, he fled. I chased. He attacked me.
No. I mean, what did the two... Before this attack occurred, what did the two of you do that day?
I believe we were actually here.
Just to clarify, in case you guys can't remember, because this happened sort of shortly before you guys departed for the Lascaris ball. So effectively, it had been during the period when you guys were sort of doing your shopping and getting yourself ready for the ball.
Nothing that would trigger an attack that I can recall.
Were you just going about your business in town? Were you held up in your tavern?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You were shopping?
We were moving about town, asking questions, and we retired to the tavern for the evening.
We had purchased garments for the ball, I believe, that day.
Masks.
Yes, masks.
So perhaps this individual, if you travel the town, he might catch wind of you. Perhaps if he had the senses of a snake, he could smell the scent of a wand. Or
So
perhaps it
we
is
should
a
take-
diviner of some sort.
So we should take an obvious route, or yes, an obvious route back to a place where we might rent a room and rest for the night in the hopes to lure the thief there. This is what you suggest?
Yes.
I'll nod.
We should probably warn Avaestar as well. We don't want him on the tavern on his own. If he's been wandering.
Well, we can pick him up at that Harlequin town.
He may have woken up by now.
Very well. So let us retrieve our friend and find a suitable place to set this trap.
Okay, so I guess we leave the church. Just I have anything to say, and we go to the Hound and Harlequin, because that's where we think Avaestar will be.
Yeah.
Okay, not a problem. You head to the Hound and Harlequin. As you walk in, you can see the sort of ruddy-faced figure of Icost, the owner. He's still wearing his sort of rolled-up sleeves and his apron on the front of the spiky-haired blonde woman is still working the bar in the pub. As you walk in, he's just about to walk through the door into the main brewery, and he looks up and says, "Oh, afternoon."
Afternoon to you as well.
What can I get you?
Is our inebriated companion?
Oh no, a friend of his came in and picked him up almost been an hour and a half ago.
I turn and look to the other two.
What did this person look like?
Well, he was just a bit taller than me, slight elf. I could tell by the ears. Had tan skin. You know,
It wasn't
had
me.
had a weapon at his hip. Well, no, it wasn't you. Had a weapon at his. I didn't mean like fully like sort of like dark skinny. I mean just like tan, like he'd been out in the sun a bit. Had like a rapier at his hip. You know, walked quite confidently. Said that your friend was a cousin of his. He looks over and he says, "Hera, what did that fellow who came in and picked up that drunk elf? What did he say his name was?" You hear the woman shout back as she says him. She goes, "Jacob." That's right, Jacob. It was, yeah. Said his name was Jacob Foliage. Said he were a cousin of your friend and he was going to take her back to her lodgings or something. I mean, she was. You got to say he was still well out of it. We would have to clean him up a couple of times, you know, people had a bit too much drink. Sometimes a little bit of like sick comes out while they're asleep. I had to like mop him down a couple of times, but not literally with a mop, you know, just like an oily rag. But yeah, this Jacob said he were a cousin of your friends, and he was going to take him back to his lodgings, and I was like, oh, great, takes him off my hands.
Where is this Jacob's lodgings?
Well, he said he was going to take your friend back to your friend's lodgings rather than his own. I don't know where that is. You know, I mean, I don't know where he's staying.
The common sword. We can make our way there.
Right, so nice.
All right, so maybe we'll leave there and we'll head to the common sword to pick up Avaestar. And then we're going to find a place that actually has frickin' rooms available. Battlebridge seems like a large town.
So you guys are heading straight to the common sword, is that correct?
Yeah, but we want to do it in a way that's not surreptitious. Yeah,
So
what he said.
So you guys are saying you want to take a roundabout, sort of really obvious route to the common sword, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, not a problem. So it takes you a little bit longer because you talk to like a couple of people on the way and be like, well, yes, we're off to the common sword, sort of thing, to make it doubly obvious. Obviously not quite as ridiculously obvious as that, but you know what I mean. So eventually you guys do find yourself outside the common sword, unless you have anything on the way.
Just a minor thing. I'd probably tell Watoomb, since he's the owner of the one, to say that he's going to spend the night drinking or something like that. He's like tired and wants to spend the night just like drinking rather than being in his room guarding the wand.
Okay, so basically you're suggesting that Watoomb will just sort of drop into these conversations you're having with multiple townspeople, that he's just going to leave all of his stuff in his room, and then he's going out for a night drinking because he's feeling a bit like he wants to go out and celebrate or whatever. He wants to go out and enjoy himself and relax. Is that in essence what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But we're not going to set up the trap at the common sword if they don't have the rooms and space to accommodate it. We'll find another tavern.
Okay, now this does present a bit of an issue for you guys. Obviously, if you're talking to people on the way to the common sword, where are you telling people you're going to be staying? I mean, if you say to them, "Oh, we're going to stay at the common sword," and then there's no rooms, you've told them the incorrect location.
Well, can't we just do it in reverse? Can't we find a place that has a room, book a room?
Yes, certainly you can.
Go get Avaestar and do the obvious kind of thing.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. If you guys want to, well, what I might suggest is if you guys go to the common sword, pick up Avaestar, you can then sort of, if there's rooms at the common sword, there's still nothing to stop you walking about and saying, "Oh, I'm going out on a drinking binge tomorrow and leaving my stuff in my room." If there's not a room there, you can go somewhere else and make it. Then you can go for your walkabout and let people know you're staying at somewhere else.
Right, yeah. There's probably going to be a market square or area where it's fairly busy and has a lot of traffic. And once we know where we're going to be staying, we can just go there and do some pretend or real shopping.
Pretty much anywhere by the sort of side of the rivers is very busy, since a lot of the food for Battlebridge comes from fishing. So there's always like fishermen moving about, taking their catches to local taverns, etc. There's obviously people getting ready to take their goods to market. So the streets are fairly full of like hustle and bustle at this time. So you'll have no problem like finding people to like share this news with. So I'm going to say, for brevity's sake, you guys arrive at the Common Sword Tavern, and as you sort of walk into the bar, you can see, as I described earlier, Finnan running around like a headless chicken, being in charge of the bar on his own, trying to like keep up with all the drinks and the food, etc. Although a few people have started to drift away now as time's getting on a bit and they've got to get back to work. But as you walk in, you can see a fairly dishevelled-looking Avaestar stood at the bar, sort of like eating what appears to be a fairly sort of flaccid and appetizing fillet of some sort of unidentifiable fish. He doesn't look terribly happy about it, and he smells of like too much perfume. You know, when someone's been out for a run and they go, "Oh, well, I'm not going to have a wash. I'm just going to like spray like 6 cans of deodorant on myself to try and cover the smell," and it never really quite works. That's pretty much how Avaestar smells, and he's wearing sort of stained and fairly dirty and sort of ruffled clothing. In fact, the same clothing you last saw him wearing when he was passed out in a cot. And you all walk into the Common Sword.
He already looks the part. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to approach Avaestar's table.
Okay, you obviously see them come in, Avaestar.
Are you feeling well?
No, of course I'm not feeling well, Watoomb. However, I'm very glad to see you. Do one of your little cantrips on me again. Make my clothes look and smell a bit more decent, will you? Old friend. And he sort of punched you lightly in the shoulder.
I am not sure about where you came from, but in my village, most people wash themselves.
Well, you see, I was going to change my clothes, except they've all disappeared. These are the only clothes I have. I don't know where they are. You wouldn't have to know, would you?
Perhaps those clothes are now suitable for starting a fire and you could purchase some new ones.
Well, I'm absolutely going to purchase some new ones once this headache is gone. But why am I here anyway? Did you bring me here? No, there was Jacob, wasn't there? Jacob said he'd carry me here, but did you have a part in this?
I just shake my head.
Alright, okay, I'm just been checking then. Yes, I would like to go out and purchase some more clothes after I have feeling a little bit better. My headache is beginning to diminish. Especially now the noise has died down.
I am, however, going to say, Avaestar, that you are suffering from a level of fatigue
Exhaustion, yeah, I thought so, okay.
due to your previous evening's exertions.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so perhaps despite my better judgment, I'm going to cast a spell to clean him up. But it's more for my own self and so I don't have to smell him and look at him that disheveled.
That's an entirely fair point. You mumble the usual words that you use to access the power that you're sending out towards Avaestar, and with the judicious application of your cantrips, you're able to swiftly restore Avaestar's clothing to at least slightly better order.
You don't expect me to make a regular habit of this. You are quite capable of cleaning yourself and washing your own clothes.
Yes, but I've just woken up and I was going to change, like I said, and I can't do your little magic thing. I need to learn. You promised me that you would help teach me.
Unfortunately, you were too busy throwing away memories in a bottle.
Yes, I would admit that my drinking habits may be slightly out of hand at the moment. It's not forever. I am simply exposing myself to the cultures of the common sword and surrounding areas.
As you're all talking,
never experienced before.
As Watoom's saying this, the door that leads to the stairs that go up to the rooms opens, and you see a young boy walk in who you recognise as the young stable boy, Simon. He walks in, he's got like a mop over his shoulder. He sort of makes his way across the room as though he's going to say something to Finnan, who's just managed to get behind the bar. And as he draws a level with you, he looks up at you and he says, "Oh, you feeling all right now, sir?"
I'm feeling better than I was, but not completely better. What is it, boy?
No, I just went to see you were all right, sir. You were really poorly when they brought you in.
Yes, I was incredibly, and I thank you for your concern on the matter. Are you going to give me a bath at some point?
He sort of looks a bit worried when you say that.
You know, fill up my bath.
Oh, right, you are, sir. Yeah, I can do that for you.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
When are you wanting it for?
Oh, I would say precisely 8.5 minutes.
Right, I better go and start getting it ready now then, sir. He looks over at the bar and says, I'm going to have to go and get this man's bath ready, Finnan. And he's like, I haven't got time to worry about that now, Simon. Yeah, well, whatever you think's best. He's like, oh, right, you are. I can get it ready now for you, sir. And he turns around and walks out, accidentally slapping you around the side of the face with his mop as he turns around.
I'm going to turn toward Zan. Perhaps you should fill Avaestar in on the plan.
What plan? What have you been up to?
Shut up. I kind of like make a coughing motion, and then when I'm handing have my hand over my mouth, I'm like, about the plan. Alright. So, we're still in the common sword? Yeah, okay. We can discuss this once we get to the new lodgings.
I hope this is an upgrade from these lodgings. Where have you got lodgings booked, Zan?
As you're saying that, Finnan says, well, your room is paid up for the next couple of days, sir. Your friend paid it up. as he's sort of like walking past carrying a pile of pots.
Yes, I'm aware of that, however, and I sort of turn back to the others. He did bucket up without actually letting me know any other way. Then again, I was not exactly able to listen to him at the time, but the point is, I would be happy to leave the room if the lodgings you have got us are more sufficient. Well, are they?
By all means, have your bath first.
Why do I get the feeling that this is not just simply a matter of upgrading to a nicer room?
Because you're drunk.
Yes.
I'm not drunk. I am past that stage, Zach. I'm simply suffering from the repercussions. I'm suffering from the repercussions of being drunk. I'm sure you have experienced that as well. But fine, if you're not willing to disclose anything, I will go and have my bath. And I will feel at least a little better than I already am.
Okay, so unless the rest of you guys want to particularly do anything whilst Avaestar's having his bath, I'll just fast forward time in a bit and assume you all meet up again after Avaestar has washed himself.
I do want to say one thing to my companions while he's gone, though.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Are we certain that Avaestar will have the mental faculties to help us in this plan and not be a hindrance? I'm concerned.
When you lay in my lowest possible ways to say, sometimes when you dig a hole, a trap inside, you must put foliage on top to disguise it. So, in this instance, we will have this drunken Avaestar who will disguise our trap quite convincingly. Don't you think?
I nod. You're saying he will make good bait.
Yes. In fact, oh god, we can pun Avaestar's name. We're putting foliage on this trap. Foliage. Yeah.
But
Ha 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 ha.
okay, so after Avaestar has had his bath and you've had this brief conversation, you rejoin them in the bar, Avaestar. It's slowly sort of started to empty by now as people are going back to work. You can see as you come down, like Finnan's sort of like looking quite tired. He's like leaning on the bar, like, "Wow, I'm glad the rush is over with. I never thought I'd miss that bloody orc." And you walk into the bar and you see your friends still stood about, sort of roughly where they were previously.
So I'll have had a proper bath, combed my hair, and all lovely, and my clothes are at least a bit better now, and just sort of take a nice deep breath in and think, well, that's a lot better.
Yeah, you effectively at the minute you just look sort of like you've had to get ready for work in a hurry rather than you've sort of like slept in a ditch and been pissed on by a horse.
Right, well, are you going to tell me anything here, or do you want me to move away with you to somewhere else, more private, or what? You're being incredibly secretive. Thought so. I look to Drax, and I say, are you going to be the silent type as well?
We have a plan, but it requires discretion.
What for? The duel? Speaking of which, Drax, I need to talk to you about that quite urgently.
Okay. Like right now?
Well, yeah, Preferably, since you don't want to talk about your plan here, by the sounds of it.
Let's talk and move.
Yes.
I agree. Let's go.
Yes.
Walk and talk.
And not too loudly.
Let's be on our way.
So where are
We
you?
are being watched or followed.
Where are you guys planning on walking to as you're having your talk?
Well, we
So
already
we've-
figured out a place that's going to have room for us, right?
Okay, so you're just sort of wandering around looking for another tavern. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, this place has cheap food and few rooms. We need a place that has
Yeah, so
rooms
like,
to set up an ambush.
yeah, we
And hopefully not shitty food.
could say that while we were wondering about the town and the roundabout way to get to the common sword, we probably saw a tavern, and we're probably on the lookout for one. So
Okay. So
Don't blame
yeah,
us for leaving, John. You made the place full up with shitty food.
no, that's absolutely fine. So let me just bring up the map for you, and then we can choose what will be the likely taverna that you would have passed. So you guys from the Temple of Abraham, sort of heading from the south, you would have certainly passed this tavern here. Obviously, you're at the Common Sword now, and you've sort of been around this area. You know, there's another tavern there. And there's some posher ones down here, but they're sort of like the upper end of the expense scale.
As we
Well,
pass some of
that
those
would be
taverns,
bad.
I'm going to ask Zane about to pick one that's most suitable for whatever trap he has in mind.
alright, so okay, so that's one by the Temple of Abraham. That's a lower class one. It's not a high class one.
Well, it's not exactly lower class, but it's not sort of like your high class sort of like noble drinking establishment like they are in the south of the city. Yeah, it's working class.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend that one, and I'll explain to Watoomb that it's near the slums of this place, so it's likely that this foe is hidden somewhere nearby. Besides, the more upscale the place is, the more cautious he will be in attacking it.
I'll nod and bow to his wisdom.
Okay, not a problem. So you're planning on heading to that tavern. As you're making your way there, you see that outside the tavern, there's, rather than like the normal sort of sign that you would expect to be hanging outside a tavern, there's a large piece of what looks to be driftwood, sort of like hammered into the ground, almost like a post, and then carved up it is so like in quite sort of nice sort of curled writing, it says "The Weathered Timber."
I hope that doesn't mean the interior as well as the exterior.
Anyone who has any sort of particular nautical leaning, certainly yourself, Drax, as you're sort of walking up to the tavern and you look at it, you can see from your time on board various sailing vessels that it looks as though this place has been entirely built with sort of like reclaimed wood, you know, driftwood, wood taken from like old ships, etc.
This place could do nicely. You got all kinds here. Drunkards looking at Avaestar. Malcontents. Travelers. You could already be here.
Okay. As you head in, you've just headed down like Flaming Street and you've headed into this tavern. You can see there's a lot of what look to be like, again, fishermen, because they're pretty much ubiquitous throughout the city. However, there's a number of what look to be craftsmen in here. You see you probably recognise a few of them have tools at their belts, like stonemasons' tools, etc. There's also what appeared to be a number of carpenters, judging by the outfits they're wearing and the tools they're carrying, all having sort of like spirited discussions about their wares, etc., doing a bit of informal trading between themselves. You can also see there's a fairly sort of portly-looking dwarf gentleman with a ginger beard and appears to have an eye patch over one eye, who's stood behind the bar.
I'm going to let someone else handle action. And while they're doing that, I want to look around, note the exits or possible exits, windows, things like that.
Yeah, not a problem. You make a note of all the exits. There's 2 exits to this main sort of bar area, and another door that you might assume leads to the upstairs. It's like a 2-story sort of wooden building. There's also a couple of doors at the back behind the bar, which probably lead to a cellar or a kitchen or something along those lines.
Drax, would you like to purchase the rooms?
I'd be happy to negotiate. No problem.
Now, we need at least 2. These 2 rooms, and it doesn't really matter because we're not seriously intending on staying here.
Okay, so Drax, are you heading up to the bar to book the rooms?
Yep.
Okay, as you walk up, this portly, ginger-bearded dwarf with the eye patch turns round towards you, sort of puts his glass down that he was cleaning. He looks to be in a deep, sort of rumbling voice, says, "Good afternoon, sir."
Greetings, man. I would like to book a couple of rooms for this evening, if you have room.
Yes, I'm sure we can fit you in, sir. What sort of room were you looking for?
What you got?
Well, that all depends on how deep your pockets are, sir.
Indulge me. Say that my pockets can be quite deep.
Oh, very well, sir. Well, we do have a room in case we have any visiting dignitaries to the city. I like to call it the noble suite, just a bit of a joke on my behalf, sir. But well, that'd set you back 4 gold pieces a day, sir. If your pockets are deep enough, but you did say you had deep pockets, sir.
I did. Is that the going rate for anyone in the sea? Or, shall we say, do you offer more favourable rates for fellow sailors like yourself?
At which point, he actually, an expression of like genuine interest comes across his face, and he says, "Oh well, I'm always out for taking care of a fellow brother of the sea. Tell me, what ship did you sail on, my fine scaled friend?"
Oh, I don't think you would have heard of it. It's from many, many miles away.
Well, that's true. I've been out of the sailing game for quite some years. After my injury, and he sort of like, you see him sort of like move as though he's like tapping his leg on the floor, and you hear like a wooden like dunk 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 on the.
But just in case, it was the Red Carbuncle, a ship I served on, shall we say.
Red Carbuncle. The name does ring a bell, but I can't quite put my finger on it at this moment. At which point he holds out a sort of pudgy hand towards you, and he says, "Well, I'm pleased to meet you. What is your name, my fine friend?"
Drax.
Ah, Drax.
Drax of Draenor.
And I am Haller Eriksson.
Nice to meet you, Eriksson.
At which point, if you wish, you can make me a history roll, Drax, since you're of a nautical persuasion.
Oh, I can do that. Does my background give me an advantage on this roll? Just asking.
I'll give you advantage, yeah.
Sweet. Right. So history, we're looking at it's just an 11, straight on the roll.
Okay, you do vaguely remember hearing the name Eriksson. He was supposed to be some sort of like smuggler or pirate a while ago. You can't exactly remember the details, but it's going back quite a way. But you've definitely heard the name before.
Mm-hmm. Ah, I didn't realise I was talking to a legend, my friend. It's good to see that you're still kicking. I've heard of your tales.
He laughs and sort of puts a hand on his chest to sort of like stem the laughter brewing up in him. He said, "Wow, not just a legend now. Well, I took the High Lord's pardon. Oh, it must be a good 20 years ago now. And well, now I run this place. It's not quite as exciting as my days back on the sea, but well, the money's a good deal better, and it's certainly a good deal safer."
Yeah. Is there ever a mistress
one of your legs off of the knee has a way to make you value safety? You know what I mean?
Of course. We all miss the ocean when we're not upon it.
Well, that's true. I occasionally take a trip out on the river when I can afford it in one of the boats there, but I'm afraid my ocean going days are long behind me now. I'm a little bit too old for that. That's a young man's game.
So what I'm going to try and do, John, I'm going to try and get the rate down a little bit if I can. Because if we're staying in these rooms, it would make sense that we'd have a certain level of, I suppose, amenities if Avaestar's with us.
Okay, not a problem. Can you please make me a persuasion roll?
A persuasion? Yep. So it's a 1, John.
He looks at him and he sort of sighs, but he says, well, I would dearly love my new friend Drax to give you money off the room. Unfortunately, we're expecting quite a lot of nobles into town in the next few days. Word on the grapevine is that one of the noble houses, House Foliage, I think it is. Yes, word is a lot of them are travelling to Battlebridge, and well, they'll need rooms when they get here, won't they?
Any idea what business they have here?
Oh no, I'm afraid that information is a little bit above my pay grade, my friend. I'm just an old sailor trying to get trying to make his way in this world. But I could certainly let you have the room for a couple of days. They're not due here for I think a 10-day or something along those lines. I don't know the exact date. I'm just trying to keep a couple of rooms away. You know, they're bound to want the best rooms when they get here. You know what these nobles are like.
I'll tell you what
a world we live in. I used to rob people like that, and here I am now providing rooms for them. It's a funny old world.
Okay. I'll tell you what. If you could give us 2 rooms at the quietest part of the most isolated part of the tavern, that would be great. Just that I'm looking after an elf, and he's one of those light sleepers, you know. You know what I mean?
I see. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. We do a couple of rooms at the back of it, and they're not quite as plush as the noble suite. But I tell you what, 16 silver pieces a day, and the 2 rooms are yours. How's that, my friend?
Deal.
At which point he spits in his hand and he holds it out to you.
Yeah. I'll give him.
I'm
going to give him 18 pieces, John. Just so they say, buy a drink for yourself. You know, it's been good to see some of the old.
He smiles at you warmly and he says, "Oh well, thank you, my friend. That's very generous. And I'd be honoured and happy if you'd, well, you and your friends, if you wish, should join me for a drink later this evening. I have a young fellow who runs the place in the evening. You know, I like to relax and at least have a few drinks after I've been working all day. I'd be delighted if you could join me. It's a pleasure to meet a fellow sailor on the ocean waves."
That'd be great.
Well, good. If you just hold on a second, I'll get my brother to show you to your room. And he shouts out. He's like, "Hawley! We've got some people need to be shown to the 2 rooms at the back." You hear a voice from one of the rooms behind the bar shout, "Hold on a second, I'll be there in a moment." And a much younger dwarf comes walking out. He's got a shaven head, like a long plaited beard. He walks out and nods at you all as he does so, and he says, two rooms at the back, is it, brother?" He says, yes. Look after this fellow. He's a fellow sailor. And he sort of goes, Yes, yes. Don't worry, brother. I'll take good care of him. He turns around to all of you, and in a far less gruff voice than his brother says, "Well, I'm Hawley. Nice to meet you all. If you follow me, I'll take you up to your rooms. You can get settled in. If you want to get a drink at the bar before we go up, take him up with you. We don't stand on ceremony."
I'm just nod and follow him. I'm waiting to hear Zan's plan.
Okay, you're taken up to these two rooms. They're fairly comfortable, fairly sort of standard tavern rooms. Unless you want to do anything else first.
Just while Drax was having that conversation, I want to look around the tavern for signs of thieves' cant, which I have that ability, and my intention in doing so is just to gauge what type of place this is.
Okay, as you look around the room, you don't see any obvious signs of thieves' cant on display or being used.
Oh, that's good.
Do you have any kind of coffee or invigorating beverage? I'm awfully tired.
Hawley says, well, one of the things I like to do is I do a little concoction. It's made with eggs. I always have one in the morning. Perks me right up. I can sort you one of them out.
What else, as well as the eggs?
Eggs, a bit of vinegar, a little bit of fish sauce, top it with a bit of water, mix it all up. It's got everything the body needs.
I'm envisaging this tastes quite disgusting, but works.
Well, it's an acquired taste, sir. I'll grant you.
All right, I will take one of those.
Okay, he heads over to the bar. You see him sort of walk around it, disappears off into the back room, comes out carrying a couple of eggs, cracks them into a flagon, sort of rumbles around under the bar for a bit, takes out a couple of bottles, pours what you can smell is like malt vinegar into this glass. Then he takes out a jar, sort of holds it away from his nose, opens it, and you immediately smell this waft of like very strong fish sauce coming out of it, and he pours like a couple of tiny drops into this glass. Puts the lid on the jar, puts it away, takes out an eating utensil and basically just like whisks it round till it goes a sort of browny light yellow colour, at which point he hands it over to you and he goes, "There you go, sir, that'll put hairs on your chin."
I don't think it will. And I sort of take it and I hold my nose and just sort of down it.
Okay, you take it and you down it. It's got a sort of odd, slightly sort of slimy texture to it, but it does seem to perk you up a little bit. Whether that's just because you're like, "Oh, that tastes horrible," or whether it's actually got some benefits, it's not really possible to tell at the moment. But it does sort of perk you up a little bit.
Right, come on, the suspense is killing me. Let's get to these rooms.
You're led up to these two rooms. They're nothing particularly special, straw mattresses, etc. They're fairly sort of utilitarian, but they're comfortable. As with everywhere else, the furniture in it, like set of drawers, chairs, etc., is made of this reclaimed wood, although it's been very nicely sort of carpentered to make this furniture. There's obviously quite a lot of skill gone into it. It'd probably be fairly pricey, but aside from that, the rooms are fairly ordinary. At which point Hawley says, "Well, if you need anything else, just give us a shout down in the bar. I'll be knocking about, although my brother's in charge of the bar until it starts getting dark, and then I expect he'll be having a few drinks and telling his friends his old seagoing tales, and then I'll be behind the bar. But if you need anything, just holler." And he nods at you and heads off back towards the bar, leaving you alone in one of these rooms.
All right, so I'm going to take a quick glance up and down the hallway, make sure there's no one hanging about. I'm going to close the door.
Okay.
I'll lock it if it has a lock, and then I'll turn to Zan, and this might be the best time to tell us your plan. How do you expect this to work?
Right. So, your wand there, and you have your wand like on a side pouch or something, right?
Not a pouch, it's about a yay ladder, and it kind of hangs off a belt. Like a belt.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Now, conceal that on your person. When we So if you leave the room now, so anyone will think that you have it. Okay, maybe not, but... So... Yes, so if you conceal it on your person, right, somewhere other than there, anyone who saw you walk in will see you without it. I'll assume that you have left it in your room.
And then what?
Then, I suppose, you and Avaestar can go downstairs and be seen to socialize. Where, I guess, Drax, would you be up for this? Staying here? Staying
Sure.
in the other room?
Sure. In fact, like when you look at Drax, you sort of know he's unusually quite peaceful in this place. He's leaning against one of the sort of curved walls, looking out to the sea. Just seems kind of content for a change. Usually he's quite edgy. Right now he's relaxed.
You still haven't told me what's going on.
Hang on a moment. Then we'll trap this room.
What are you on about? What do you mean? What is going on?
Then when the snake creature comes into this room to try to steal Watoomb's wand, we'll be alerted to its presence and we'll be able to attack it.
So in my anger, I'm going to slam my hands down on a table or like dresser or something and do a bit of a sort of a shock grasp, so there's like a bit of a lightning spark. Damn it, Zan, just tell me what is going on, or I'm having no part in this.
Amused by the threat than anything. Look, someone was poisoned attacking your friend here. We're laying a trap for them. They were trying to find his wand thing.
Your wand, Watoomb. They were trying to find your wand.
Recently I have learned that there are not 5 of these wands, but perhaps 10. 5 similar to this, and 5 similar to the one that Cassandra carries.
That's quite a lot of wands to monitor. And this person who attempted the poison obviously wants the wand for themselves. Who did he attack? Oh, Drax. That makes sense. No wonder you couldn't make it into the ball.
Yes, and he has poisoned someone else and they are dying unless we can get a sample of the venom he used.
And you mentioned a snake. So snake venom?
He might be a giant snake person, yes.
Oh, I see. He is the snake. So what is all
Possibly.
this about me doing things and so on and so forth?
Just appear to be... You and Watoomb just appear to socialize down there. I'm sure the creature will try to... Yes. I'm sure the creature will try to come back for it. For the wand.
That the room will seem empty and the objects unguarded, and perhaps make an attempt, at which point we might catch the thief.
What if this thief attempts to attack one of us while this is happening?
While you're in the tavern? While you're just drinking there? No, he wouldn't be so brazen. This is someone who ran, from what I hear, ran away when he was discovered by Drax.
And
So
if such should happen, Do not worry. I will defend you as I did at the duel in the bar at the party.
I kind of am about to blurt out something, but then I hold my tongue and say, I thank you for that, Watoomb. But still, a poison simply takes merely a nick of a blade to enter the bloodstream.
So don't get nicked by any blades, I guess.
I am not having a drop more, I can assure you.
So your part of the plan requires no danger on your part.
I certainly hope not.
You merely go downstairs and drink.
So what happens when we do catch this thief? Do we report him? Or her? Or it?
Drax will set off, and if it's an it, then we will perhaps attack it, see if it surrenders. I doubt it will. Like a cornered animal, it will viciously try to escape. And me and Drax will confront it.
Do you have a plan to trap it? As opposed to just approaching it with weapons drawn?
I open my backpack and pour out like a bunch of hunting traps and caltrops and a whole bunch of like equipment.
Wait, you said that this was going to be in a tavern, right?
What, this room? They're going to think that the wand is in this room.
So you're going to trap the room?
Yes.
If you're sure. They just seem a bit more suitable for the wild, in my opinion. You know, game, things like that.
Are you an expert in trapping and killing animals, Avaestar?
Not at all. I've just seen from time to time my family go on their little sporting excursions, taking traps with them out into the woods. They look a little similar. I have never seen traps for a room before, however.
Let us hope this
Well, it
creature
should be
doesn't
simple.
expect to meet them.
Yes, well, the idea isn't to actually trap them. It's once they're alerted, once Drax and I are alerted, we will confront them in the room. They will have no other opportunity to exit the room other than that window, but that hasn't stopped in the past, so the traps will make it difficult for them to escape.
Ah, I see.
And I've got us a room, hopefully, away from any innocent bystanders.
That is quite cunning.
Yes.
I like this plan. Situated in my lord's domain, this creature will have no advantage. I feel we will prevail.
What time do we intend for this to happen at? Where must we be in the bar?
Just go down and... When did this creature attack you? Do you know what time, Drax?
I believe it was evening time, but not the witching hour, as it were. It was late. Before the March of the Ghosts, as they call it. Yeah.
Oh, that actually happens?
Believe it or not, it does. I was skeptical too, but I'm sure Avaestar can tell you. And it is no mere tale.
Well, that's good to know then. Make sure I don't crowd the night. So, So I guess no one will... after this witching hour, might be logical to assume. No. You'd either come before or after. That doesn't really help. So, for the amount of time, I guess you'll just have to spend the night downstairs in the tavern until, let's say, 2 hours after midnight. Then we can be sure that he didn't intend to attack today.
It was going to be a little difficult for me to drink nothing but water. I'll have to just gorge myself instead. Maybe
Yes, well,
You can drink other liquids flavored to look like alcohol.
if they have such a thing. Perhaps some elderflower. Maybe partake in, I mean, I've never played, but partake in some kind of card game.
I sigh. I go over to the water pitcher that's like maybe on the little desk, and I pour some water into a cup. And as I do so, I make a brief incantation, and it's just a tiny illusion. I'm gonna make the water look like wine. Just change it to red colored, you know.
Watoomb mumbles his incantation, sort of waves his hand over the pitcher, and the water does indeed turn the sort of deep red hue of a good wine.
It is but a simple spell.
So I think if I'm going to say, you're a star. And I start just sort of sipping it.
Are you going downstairs?
Yeah, I'll go downstairs after a couple of sips.
Yeah, not a problem. You guys take the disguised water down with you when you go down, that's fine.
Yeah, we can even order booze and pour it into a cup and, not drink it. Or just pretend to drink it.
You can just sit there going like that and pretending to sip it. You don't actually have to drink it. You're quite right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just so I've got this down to make sure I understand where everyone's going to be, who of you are heading down the bar? Is it just Watoomb and Avaestar who are going down to the bar? Or is it Watoomb, Avaestar, and Drax?
The former.
Okay, so
I think we should leave Drax alone in the room to get ambushed like before, because that worked well the last time.
Okay, so Drax and Zan, you're going to secrete yourself in the room. Is that correct?
The room, not the room that should be trapped.
Yep.
But the other one. But I'm going to trap the room by do you want me to describe this now?
Yeah, go for it.
Alright. So I'm going to make sure that I'll move a desk or a dresser or whatever to the front of the window. So in a way, it's kind of easier to jump onto that and then onto the window, out through the window.
Yep.
And I'm going to put caltrops all over that desk or dresser. I'm going to just assume it's a desk now.
Yep.
Then I'm going to... Is there a rug on the floor, Matt?
Yeah, there's like a throw on the floor, like a throw rug.
Okay, so I'm going to set some hunting traps, the other bear clamp ones.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, all these have rules in the player's handbook that I can look up when it comes relevant.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I'll put them under the rugs. I will also... I will also take out my dagger, and on the on the door, I'll create a small splinter and use that to hook a bell onto it.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
So I should be able to hear when that happens.
Yep.
Anything else I want to do? I will get my grappling hook and rope ready, and basically, and I'm not going to even use that in this room. I'm going to have it in the other room, so if this thing does manage to get out, we can easily climb down. We'll get out without getting hurt.
Okay, so if assuming this person does actually come in, I'm going to rely on you to sort of like fill me in with the various trap rules that you've got, Zan. Okay, so if you guys are just prepping this and you're getting ready, what I'll actually do is I'll move forward to the evening. I will get Avaestar and Watoomb to sort of make socializing rolls to see how well they do at sort of spreading the word effectively.
We're going to pick a table that's closest to these stairs. So if something goes down, we can get up there quickly.
What kind of roll would you like, or is it sort of open to charisma?
It'll be a performance roll.
Okay.
And this is to what?
This is basically just see how well you do at sort of spreading the word that like your room's unprotected and how far the word spreads to attract the attention of said thief.
Okay. That's 11 for me.
Drax will be spending his time looking through the litany of Njord's blessings and things, preparing himself for this attack if it's going to happen, getting spells ready that could help in this situation.
Okay.
I'm inspired
assuming that's okay to do that.
Work, so I'm going to re-roll that. Never mind.
Okay.
6.
Okay. Not a problem. You're as you're sort of spreading the word, you're still not really comfortable with this sort of like these surroundings, Watoomb. So you're a bit sort of like awkward with.
I'm not a good liar.
People.
Watoomb.
Exactly. Yeah. You're used to telling it as it is. However, Avaestar's now he's sort of sobered up a bit. He's fairly in his flow and he's moving around, sort of being the social butterfly, chatting to people, you know, spreading the word, etc. So we're going to skip time forward to just as it starts to get dark.
So since we started this at like 2-3 in the afternoon, right? Yeah, I'm going to trance because I assume he's going to attack that night.
Yep, okay.
So I should said that before you said time skip.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay. So now. And indeed, with Avaestar sort of putting the word out, you have attracted the attention of someone who, during the hours of twilight, as it starts to get rapidly darker outside, since we're in the sort of latter half of the year, we're in the month of Freetrade, I'm now going to ask you, Tasheef, to sort of break out some of those trap rules that you've hopefully got to hand. Since you've laid out this place like some sort of bizarre, nightmarish haunting lodge.
Sorry, I was just getting the rulebook.
That's fine.
At some point I will have cast Mage Armor myself, which lasts 8 hours, and it doesn't have to be visible.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, so if he opens the door, the first thing that will happen is the bell should ring, so Drax should be alerted.
Okay, I will tell you they are not going through the door.
Okay, are they going through the window?
Yep.
Okay, so there are caltrops on the desk in front of there, and caltrops cover a 5-foot area. He must succeed in a DC. Yeah, he must succeed in a DC 15 Dex saving throw.
Well, that shit's not happened.
Okay, so he must stop moving and take 1 piercing damage, and until he regains at least 1 hit point, he will have his speed reduced by 10 feet.
Okay, not a problem. So the first, obviously, Drax and Zan pretty much put like your ear to the wall in the room next door. The first you're aware of someone attempting to enter the room is when you hear what sounds like a shout of pain from the room next to you.
Mm-hmm. Can we tell where in the room?
It sounds as though it was like coming from the back end of the room towards where the window is.
Okay. to get through that window, can I go out the window to this room? Or are they located on different areas?
You'd have to sort of like climb your way across, but it's doable.
Like are the windows like right next to each other, or are they like far apart?
No, there's a bit of distance between them. It's not unscalable, but you would have to sort of like move your way across the building to get to the.
Okay. Okay. I guess how long is it?
Sorry.
How long is it?
Oh right, what's the distance between the two windows? You're only talking about sort of like 20 feet.
Okay, with my movement in half, that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to dash as a bonus action with cunning action, and I'm going to, I should be able to scale that, because that's 20 feet movement half, so that's 40 feet of movement.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Can you dash while climbing, though?
Yes.
Okay.
It's literally just double your base movement.
Okay, so make your climbing roll to make sure you've managed to do it without slipping off the side of the building or anything ridiculous like that. I'm going to say that you do have advantage on this roll because of the fact that this building is built of reclaimed wood. There's quite a lot of like knot holes and sort of bits where the planks maybe don't fit together entirely, so there's more sort of foot and hand holds.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is at least a 13. Athletics, not acrobatics.
Yeah.
It's athletics, climbing, it's strength to hang on, it's not balance.
Yeah,
Alright,
athletics.
Yep, it's 13.
Okay, that's not a problem. Drax, as you're stood there and you hear this shout, Zan sort of runs over to your window, opens it, swings out, and starts like climbing his way, shimmying across the outside of the building towards the adjoining window.
Yep, so I'll have 20 feet of movement left, so I'm going to use the attack action to shove him. So this will automatically fail if he's larger than a large creature.
It's
or
not
anything like that. Okay.
As you sort of draw level with the window and you look in, you can see what appears to be a human-sized figure wearing sort of long, dark brown robes, hood pulled over the head. You see the figure sort of like busily like pulling these caltrops out of its feet, and as it does so, you can see its hand. You can see there's like a fine sort of mottling of like scales on the back of an otherwise human-looking hand.
Okay. Is it not on the desk though?
It's still stood on the desk, but it's basically just sort of like pulling the caltrops out of its feet.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use the shove action, using the idea that it will fall on the hunting traps. So this is a contested athletics roll.
Caltrops in the
or
butt.
acrobatics.
Okay.
Caltrops on the butt. Ooh, that could hurt.
I have a 17.
Okay, you have succeeded as you shove this person off the desk. Now, what is the penalty for being shoved, as it were?
Okay. I knock him 5 feet away from me, so I push him off the desk.
You push him
Does he
off
fall
the desk.
prone or just push?
The rules say prone or you push him 5 feet.
Okay, so you push him 5 feet off the desk.
Circumstances, but yeah.
He lands on the floor and immediately starts sort of like rolling over to get to his feet, but you have pushed him off the desk and he's currently sort of lying on the floor, like rolling to one side. I'm now going to jump back briefly and ask Drax, what are you doing when all this is going on?
At seeing Zan go out the window, Drax will have, as quietly as he can, moved to the door of the room that this guy's in, ready to strike.
Okay, so you're literally sort of outside the door with your hand on like the handle, is that correct?
Blocking his exits.
Okay, not a problem. As you're outside the door, let's say sort of hand on the handle, you hear this loud thump from inside the room.
Am I going to burst in?
Sorry, was that you are going to burst in? Or
Yeah, I'm going to burst in at the sound of that.
Okay, not a problem. You throw the door open. There's a ding-ling-ling-ling-ling from the little bell attached to the door. Obviously, Zan, as you sort of push this guy onto the ground and he's rolling over, you see the door get thrown open, the bell goes, and Drax is sort of stood there pretty much filling the door frame.
Okay, so did he fall on the hunting traps?
Indeed he does. As he hits the floor and starts rolling over, there's a...
So, yeah, they're a DC 13 saving throw, Dex.
Okay, I'm going to give him the disadvantage because he's just been like pushed onto the floor rather than sort of jumping on the floor.
Yeah, and I put 5 on there, but it's up to you how many he actually landed on.
Okay, he has landed on them. I'm going to say he's landed on 3 of them. How much damage do the hunting traps do?
They do a D4.
Okay.
So 3, 2, and 4. So that's 9 points of piercing.
Okay, not a problem. As you watch Drax, you see this guy sort of in these robes roll over, obviously trying to get away from Zan, and he rolls onto the rug, at which point there's a as these 3 hunting traps like clamp onto him. You hear this sort of rattled exhalation of breath as he sort of thrashes about with these hunting traps on him. You can see blood sort of spattering about as he's thrashing about.
I'm going to boom with my thaumaturgy at this creature. It's going to go a lot easier on you if you surrender now.
The creature, the attacker, looks up at you briefly, and the hood falls back a bit from its face, and you see a basically human face, but sort of in patches, quite unhealthy looking patches over the face, are these sort of vaguely translucent, sort of reddy green scales. And it lets out a sort of a hissing, rattling sound towards you. Okay, and at this point I'm going to ask everyone to roll for initiative since we're into more normal combat now.
Oh, oops.
Yeet. Okay.
12.
Okay.
15.
Okay.
Let's have a look. See. 5.
17.
Okay.
Damn, Watoomb can get upstairs, take this guy out, go back downstairs, finish his drink, and I still won't have moved. Well.
Okay, so we are going first in this round with Watoomb. So, Watoomb, first of all, in this round, can you please make me a perception roll?
Right. I think it might be fair to say I was actively listening for this bell sound, so maybe that could be an advantage. That sounds
Yeah,
fair.
I'll give you the advantage for this roll, that's fine. Obviously, the roll is just because it's quite noisy down here.
18. I'm sorry, 16.
Yeah. Okay, you're listening out, and you indeed hear a series of thumps, cries, and then this ding-a-ling-ling-ling from upstairs.
So I'm bucking up the stairs. I don't know what the distance is.
It's basically going to take you like a round to get up there if you're like hustling.
Okay. So by the end of my turn, let's say I'm outside the room.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is basically you're sort of just outside the door, so you can see sort of Drax, and looking beyond him, you can see this figure sort of with it. You can see its face as it is at Drax. Now we're going to move on to the assailant, who's still sort of obviously in quite a degree of pain. You can tell by the twisted expression on its face. It holds out a hand your direction, Drax, towards you, and it begins muttering in like a sort of hissing, sibilant voice. And as it throws its hands out towards you, what appears to be almost like a small sort of exhalation of gas, or perhaps sort of vaporous liquid which seems to like emanate from its hand towards you. Can you please make me a Constitution save, Drax?
Yes, I can. Okay. It's a 17, John.
Okay, not a problem. You duck to one side, and as this sort of cloud of noxious vapours hits the sort of wood on the frame of the door, you hear it sort of hissing and popping slightly as it seems to like partially like melt the varnish. We then move on to Avaestar, who's sat downstairs. You don't have to make a roll to notice something's going on. You've just seen Watoomb jump up and run like a bat out of hell out of the room.
Is either something going on, or I gotta go to the bathroom real bad.
Am I supposed to stay here or follow you? Okay, so I'm like looking around for a pit, and then I'll probably slowly move in because I'm a bit curious about some kind of snake man.
Okay, not a problem. Since you're looking around and you're being slow, it's going to take you 2 rounds to get up there. So for your first round, you sort of look around and then you start sort of like moving up the stairs. So you'll be getting there at the end of next round. We now move on to Zan. You've just seen this thing throw its hand out and this sort of poisonous cloud gust out towards Drax, who nimbly dodged it.
Okay. So is Drax like engaged with this guy? Is he prone or still?
No, it appears to have like recovered itself fairly quickly. Drax isn't really engaged in hand-to-hand. It's just basically cast a spell in his direction.
Alright. Alright, so yeah, I'm gonna go down off the desk and say, I'm gonna say, surrender or we'll continue to attack. And I just rolled a crit.
Is that for your intimidation, is it?
For my attack was my intention, so well,
wait, it's up to you.
If you would have called for an intimidation roll, then yeah, logically that would have been the intimidation roll.
It's entirely up to you. It's basically, do you want to be like attacking him and saying surrender now, or do you want to be like surrender now, see if he surrenders and then attack him? It's entirely up to you.
Yeah, the latter.
Okay, so you say surrender now. As you shout that, and this thing's obviously still sort of like covered in these bear traps, it basically sort of like holds its hands out in front of it and sort of pulls its hand back in from where it had cast the spell at Drax. And sort of like sits there, its hands held open.
I take out my manacles and I restrain the creature.
Okay, not a problem. You move towards it and you restrain it. Since we're effectively out of combat rounds now, I'm going to say that Avaestar catches up and you see this going on. You watch as Zan like manacles this thing. You see it does effectively look like a human, but there's sort of like vaguely like serpentine characteristics to its face and these sort of unhealthy, almost quite leprous looking like patches of scales all over it. You see they go some way up the creature's arms.
Hmm. This is him, is it?
Yes.
Drax glowers back after being nearly covered in weird stuff. That was a wise decision, friend.
The creature looks at you, Drax, and in Draconic says, "This will not help you."
That's funny. I was about to say the same thing to you. Also in Draconic.
You should be helping us.
I am helping you. You're still breathing, aren't you? You've just defiled the home of my lord. By rights, I should have you in ash. We have questions.
Can we say that Avaestar and I move into the room and close the door to?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. you guys sort of surround this thing. You close the doors, obviously, like clear all the traps away and shit like that. It's absolutely fine. And you're basically all around this thing, which is securely like manacled up.
You speak its tongue?
More safe to say it speaks my people's tongue, although not as well as some.
At which point, again in Draconic, the creature says, "Our people."
Drax will sort of cock his head at that. Can I actually tell if his scales are dragon in nature, or if they are reptilian?
Well, I tell you what, make me a survival roll.
Ooh.
Although I'd say if you wish, you could justify perhaps making it a nature roll if you preferred.
I'll go survival. I think that's. Just see if I recognise. A 5.
Okay, you've really got no idea at all. They could be snake scales, they could be dragon scales, they could be fish scales for all you know. To be fair,
but he's bleeding like a humanoid.
Yeah, his blood looks human, but dragonborn blood looks similar to human blood. There's a lot. Elf blood looks similar to human blood.
I'll say it as and I don't want to keep secrets since I'm talking Draconic. He's inferring that we are of kin. He does not look like my kin.
So, he is Draconic rather than Snake Man?
That is the implication.
Open your mouth, creature.
It goes.
Do I see snake teeth?
You can see it does have fangs there. Its canines are very pronounced.
Hmm.
They're not really like fully sort of like massive snake fangs though. They just got quite pronounced canines.
Well, I do know if it's been established. Right.
Do I not think this creature could have bit that guy?
It certainly could have made the wounds on the guy, although you can't see any obvious signs of like venom sacs or poison glands or anything like that on its neck or anything.
Has it been established that this creature can speak common, or does it only seem to speak Draconic?
It's only spoken Draconic.
Understood when it's understood common, so.
All right. Well, those two facts are in conflict. In any case, I'm going to say to Drax, ask him what he seeks and what he knows of the wand.
Drax shall do so.
Go ahead.
What is it you seek? Why the wand? What is your purpose here?
It smiles slightly again, revealing these pronounced canines, and says, "I seek the key. My master has need of it."
Who is your master?
I would die before I betrayed my master.
Fair enough. I turn to Watoomb. He seeks your wand. He believes it's a key of some sort. For a master, he does not seem to want to tell me.
Of course not.
To what?
There are many doors. I guess wands could be keys too. That's just Jack's speculation.
Do not assume. Ask him if he knows particularly which door he seeks to open.
Creature, what door is this one meant to open? What does your master seek it?
He doesn't respond.
He seems to have lost his ability to speak.
Ask him about the poison.
Why did you attack that man?
I was told no witnesses. he saw.
Can you reproduce this venom?
It laughs in a sort of hissing voice and then says, yes, of course.
What did it say?
It can get the venom. It attacked the man. Sorry?
Does it produce it naturally?
Creature, can you... Do you bite this... Can you produce this venom naturally? Or would you conjure it somehow?
I do not produce venom, you fool.
Apparently not. Zan, it's probably on his person.
Okay,
But wasn't there 2 fang bites, and the fangs are about the right size?
Perhaps he bit and then inserted the venom some other way.
I suppose, yeah.
I look at his mouth again. Does it seem like that must be... Yeah, can I make like a medicine or investigation, maybe survival, to
See if the
see
teeth
if
are
his
hollow,
mouth...
you know what I mean, with
Well,
capable of
yeah.
being poison, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you can make me a survival or a medicine roll. I'll leave it down to you.
While he's doing that, this thing is securely shackled. I'm just going to search it. Search all its pockets and everything.
No, don't.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, not a problem. As you're searching its pockets, you find sort of concealed in a sort of interior pocket on its robe what appears to be it's a strange sort of dagger, it looks to be, that has like 2 sharpened points on it. There also appears to be, it's very elegant looking, very sort of flowing metal. And as you look at it, you see there appears to be almost like a reservoir of some kind built into the handle.
I believe this is the source of the poison. Perhaps there is a drop or 2 left that can be used to fashion a antidote.
It looks like there's a lot left. I will take the thing from you if you let me. I got a 22 in survival, but I'm not sure if that matters.
Do you know alchemy?
You have established that although the guy's canines are pronounced, they're like too close together for it to have been a bite. But as Watoomb hands you this knife, this dagger, you're pretty sure that that's what made the mark.
Did it have any other possessions on
Get
it?
back.
Okay, as you search through it, you find a small pouch fastened to its back. It's also got the curved dagger as well that I mentioned previously. Just a normal dagger, but it's again a very elegant weapon, sort of curved. At which point, Avaestar, can you please make me a perception roll? And in fact, Zan, you can make me a perception roll as well.
So I did some weird twitching with the camera. It shot me a little bit. Okay, perception. That is 16.
Okay. And Zan?
11.
Okay, Avaestar, you're pretty sure that the 2-bladed dagger that Watoomb's just pulled out and the curved dagger both look as if they're of elvish manufacture.
Mm.
And as you're searching in Watoomb, you find what appear to be a number of electrum pieces, 12 in all, in a small pouch fastened to his belt.
I'm just going to dump that on the table. I'm going to take a piece of cloth, maybe a fairly good swath, maybe almost a foot by a foot. I'm going to lay the dagger, I'm going to put it in my palm, lay the dagger on that, and then I'm going to give that to Zan with the warning to not touch the poison.
That's definitely Elven, that blade. And so's the other one.
What is this creature's connection to the elves? I feel it has more information than maybe elf.
Alright, so I have the daggers.
Yeah, so what were you asking, Chief, for the daggers, what?
I have them.
Yes, that's fine, yeah, you do. There is obviously the
So-
poison dagger, which has 2 prongs. The curved dagger is effectively just a normal
Yeah.
dagger that's like curved over.
That's interesting to me. Alright. So
At which
Why
point,
don't
in
the free-
Draconic, the creature repeats, "You should be helping me."
yeah, so why don't you take this creature to the law enforcement? I'll
Not
I'll
yet.
have to
It
go
may have more
to the-
information which may be helpful to us.
Drax frowns. Why would you think that?
At which point it laughs and just says, "I wasn't talking to you, fool."
But only I can understand you.
For now.
Okay. That is entirely unnerving.
So,
Where did you come from?
yeah,
It doesn't respond.
You must convince it that if it does not tell us everything it can, people may suffer and die, including itself.
Watoomb, I don't think it cares.
The thought of causing pain to the creature to tell us what it knows is not one I take lightly, but if it were to save lives, I deem it necessary.
I've heard stories of. I've not met this kind of creature before, but I have heard stories of things that the Geth did to my people. Not my kin, but others. Turn them into
This
slaves.
creature is no
essentially.
Gith.
No, but it speaks like the stories say. They have no concern for their own lives.
Even so, question it as hard as you can. Get all the information from it you are able.
I shall try.
You shall have to translate for us what it says to you. I do not speak its language.
Me neither.
Do you speak Draconic, Sam?
I shake my head.
Okay. Who is it you were referring to, creature? Who should be helping you?
At which point, in Elven, the creature says, "There is one here who should be helping me."
Not
You
just
speak.
Elven. That'll be
You
busy.
speak Elvish as well.
Is it speaking fluid normal Elvish, or is it speaking a dialect that I recognize?
It's normal Elvish.
Barely speaks
I have
Elven.
no idea what I just said.
You are quite fluent in languages, it seems.
At which point it just smiles.
So who is it that should be helping you? You've narrowed it down to 2 of us.
It just continues smiling.
Is he looking anywhere in particular?
Well, he's looking at you at the minute because you've been the one talking to him.
Okay. I look at Zan. I'm assuming you understand him as well, right? Is that in common?
I guess, yeah. I don't think Drax has described of his previous talking, his previous rambling. He sounds like a fanatic. I don't think he knows anything useful.
Oh, if he did, he intends to take it to the grave. That's in common, by the way, just in case.
Has he said who he is working for and why they seek it?
He has a master who seeks your wand, but for reasons he would not go into, or the name of the person he works for.
So we must make him tell us.
We can try. John, I don't suppose he's carrying any kind of, iconography with him, like a holy symbol or anything like that of his own.
He doesn't appear to have any sort of obvious sort of signature or sort of heraldry or anything of those lines.
Because that would be really helpful.
He's also not carrying a parchment that says "My master is."
Please.
The name of my master is.
Hello, my name is so-and-so.
Look it out.
If discovered, please resend to this place.
That's it.
Inform him, Drax, that if he does not surrender the information we seek, we will make him tell us.
Watoomb, I have the distinct feeling that he can understand every word we're saying in any language.
And as Drax says that,
Tell him anyway.
He does indeed turn around to look at you, Watoomb, and in this slightly sort of hissing common, he says, "And if I did tell you, what would happen to me then?"
You would be turned over to the authorities for attacking that man. Unless you can give us sufficient reason not to.
And the short while after I was turned over to the authorities, I would be dead. So either way, I will die. What do I gain by telling you? Anything.
Redemption?
You have made mention of how we should be aiding you. Why? If this is true, convince us and perhaps we shall.
You cannot fight the future, human.
But we can prevent the past from repeating itself.
There are lessons to be learned in the past.
One that you have failed to learn, it would seem, if you have a master.
He insists that we should be helping it, but he does nothing, or says nothing to substantiate that claim.
True.
I remain unconvinced that we should be helping it. Zan?
At which point it turns to look at Avaestar and in Elven again says, "Give me the key."
Key? What key? I haven't got any key.
It turns around and looks towards Watoomb. And again Elvish says, "The key."
He keeps talking about this key. He thinks one of us has the key.
He has it. I can smell it.
A key to what? And why should we surrender it to him? What will he do with this key if I give it to him? You see, he is unwilling to tell us these. You insist we give you a key, yet you give us no reason to do so.
He turns to look towards you and then says, in common, Watoomb, "Those who help the new order will be rewarded. Those who do not will be crushed."
Which new order do you speak of?
My master will rise from the ashes of the Great Seal, and this world will be his.
You have succeeded in convincing me that giving you the key is the last thing I should do.
He's
If
very
you do
attached
not-
to his wand.
If you do not, then it may well be the last thing you do, human.
Why?
If you say that your master is to rise from the ashes, I'm assuming that there are more people working for him as well as you.
That doesn't follow.
Unless he does so of his own self-accord.
While that is going on, by the way, Drax is just going to check the windows a second, just in case this guy isn't alone.
Okay, maybe a perception roll.
God damn it! I don't want to be right, but I could be right.
You know you're right.
Don't look! Don't look!
Don't look. This would be a good time to roll the correct, wouldn't it? That's going to be a 20 actually. Is my bonus.
Okay, you look out the window and you see a slightly inebriated man who appears to be having a piss up against the wall of an adjoining building, and he's like, "Oi! Can't anyone get a bit of privacy?"
Once again, Drax pulls out his cell phone.
But that's all you see.
So I'm going to look around my companions. It would seem that this wand theory is something that would be most useful to a force of evil, to bring back an evil that I do not wish to see come back. I see no reason to give it to him.
I am no master of the arcane like yourself, Watoomb, but if something is behind a seal, I would tend to think that's a bad thing to let it out, correct?
Well, it depends on the thing, but...
Can you tell if this thing was once human, Watoomb? If it's been transformed? It claims we're akin, but I do not think it is draconic in nature.
It seems as if a caterpillar slowly changing into something else, or perhaps the reverse.
Seems very well versed.
Perhaps this creature was originally an elf. Hence why it
doesn't look like it.
The tongue so grossly. I know he doesn't look like it now, but maybe he used to. Maybe he was...
Does he have the proportions of an elf? Or the proportions of like a human?
It's difficult to tell due to these scales, but you can make me an investigation roll. I'll give you advantage. You should be searching this guy over and sort of patting him down and whatever.
20.
Okay, you think it's feasible that this thing could have had the proportions of an elf, but now it's a little bit misshapen with these scales, etc., all over it.
I suppose it is possible.
As Avaestar said, "Oh, maybe this thing is an elf," it turns around to look at you with quite a furious expression on its face, and in common again just says, "I was weak. Now I am strong."
So you were an elf. You think that elves are weak. Simply growing scales on your back does not make you stronger, creature.
You notice, as you said again, its face gets even more angry, and from the position Zan and Avaestar are in, you notice what appeared to be like two very faint little wisps of smoke coming out of its nostrils.
Interesting.
I'm going to speak a phrase to it in the Gith tongue. I'm going to say, "Tell us what you know," and I'm just looking to see if it responds as if it understands me or not. I'm going to try and make that determination.
Its head snaps around you, and you're pretty sure it understood what you said, Watoomb, but it doesn't respond.
So I'm going to say, again, this time in Gith, I'll say, "I speak the language of your master. I understand now what you seek. You will not get it."
It laughs and then in the Gith tongue says, "This is not the tongue of my master, merely a tongue he knows."
Well, that's a clue anyway. We got some information out of him. Master, not gift. Check.
I'm imagining Watoomb stood there with like a big checklist of all the races now, like crossing Gith out.
I'm playing Cluedo.
It's 2 languages. Hmm.
Did anybody else feel the temperature in the room drop there? What the hell did you just say to him?
I spoke to it in the tongue of the Gith. To see if it understood.
You can speak
does.
Gith? How was that even possible?
Why did you not say that you spoke Gith?
It has not mattered before now. I look around the room like, what the fuck?
Secrets like that can get a man killed, Watoomb.
The fact that I know how to speak a language can get me killed?
If I knew
Or someone
that
else
you Gith and did not know you as a friend, I would not treat you kindly.
At which point Watoomb, still in Gith, the creature, responds and says, "They do not understand. They are weak."
I also speak Dwarven and Orc. Should I be punished for that knowledge?
Give me your half of the key, human.
Do you not see the difference between a dwarf and a Gith?
Of course I do, but I merely have learned the language. This is the language of our enemy. If we are ever to be certain that our enemy cannot come back, we must know all we can about them, and that includes speaking the language they do.
Not all would understand you speaking the tongue of the profaned ones.
Again, in Gith, the creature says to you, Watoomb, "The Gith will not return. They fear the power of the seal."
Alright, I'm going to relate that to my comrades. In any event, I do not think this creature will willingly give us any more information. It might be possible, however, for me to slay it and speak with its corpse. I might be able to get information that way. Yeah. I'll I'm going to make a little gesture, and Tashif or Zan, you're going to hear a message just inside your head. I'm casting the message cantrip, and in your head I say, "I'm bluffing."
Okay.
The creature, speaking common this time, says to you, Watoomb, "You at least have some fire."
I have no wish to see you dead. Your plan sounds like it would not be good for all. In fact, it sounds like what your master speaks would be very bad for all. I see no reason to help you.
You do not understand. It will be good for all.
Then explain it to me.
Where people were weak, they will now be strong. Strong enough so that if the Gith did return, they would pose no threat.
Strong the way you have chosen to make yourself strong.
I am but a poor servant. With the power of the seal, people would be stronger than myself. Better. But we need the complete key.
I'm going to, again, I'll translate this for any companions if it's not speaking a language they understand. And I'm going to, again, mentally communicate to Zan. I don't think we're going to get anything else out of this creature. What do you want to do with him?
I'm going to assume the creature's speaking
can
common from now on, unless I say otherwise.
Yeah.
Just so you can all be clear.
So do I have to speak in person now, right? I can't respond with your message?
Yeah.
With this spell, you might be able to. I'm just looking it up. Hang on a second. It's a message called...
No, message is like a one-way thing. Unless you have
It's
it
a one-way thing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just the cantrip.
It's like a
We'll
telegram.
have to turn it into the local authority. They should know about this creature and the threat it poses.
The target bears a message and can reply in a whisper that only I can hear, so he can actually respond. Okay, so I'll say out loud. I see no reason not to turn this creature over to the authorities. I'm looking to them to see if they agree. Okay.
I don't have a problem with this.
If injured and found, you should have no trouble taking it to the guard tower.
I however, do not think it's going to come quietly.
It's been restrained. It's already
It is
surrendered.
secured now. We can bring the guards here.
It's been fairly quiet so far.
It seems far too sure of itself, for my liking.
Perhaps you are right. Stay here and guard the creature, and I will seek guards to come and arrest it.
At this point, I'm going to ask, can you all make me a perception roll?
I'm not saying I told you so.
8.
Told us what? What did you tell us?
Oh, not 20.
19.
24 total.
Okay.
So I know I'm dead, but I see you coming. So
As you're all sort of looking at this creature, you notice that although its mouth's sort of shut, there's like a few sort of like flickerings of what appear to be sort of yellowy light sort of between its closed lips.
what is it doing? Watoomb, is it casting a spell? I can see light coming from its mouth. What the hell is that?
I'm going to pick up the heaviest piece of furniture I can lift and smack it in the head with it in an attempt to render it unconscious.
Okay, no problem. As you pick up the furniture and you bring it in, all of you notice that there's like almost like a sort of perceptible like heat haze starting to like shimmer over the thing's head. And then, yeah, you clock it round the back of the head, Watoomb. Obviously, no roll required for that. It's effectively at your mercy. You clock it round the back of the head. As you do, it falls unconscious, like lying on its side, and as its mouth opens, like a wisp of like smoke comes out of its mouth.
I turned to Drax. Feel better now?
You could have let me do that, but yes.
Gotta complain. Always with the complaint. All right, I'm gonna assume that my 3 companions can safely guard this unconscious creature, and I'm gonna go seek a town guard.
Okay, that's not a problem. You don't have to move very far through the streets before you come across a couple of the town guards, you know, doing their sort of evening patrols.
We have captured a thief who attempted a robbery on our room. He's quite dangerous. We have him captive. You should come arrest him. I'm also going to mention the guard captain's name. Name will be at the moment.
We also know that guy who's your boss.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Captain Talamon.
Right, tell him.
Yeah, as you mentioned, like Talamon. Initially, he's a bit sort of like, oh yeah, whatever. When you mention Captain Talamon's name, he's like, oh right, sir. Yeah, so lead the way, sir. Lead the way, and they follow you through the streets back to the tavern where you're staying.
I'll lead him back for sure.
Okay, so probably about 15 minutes later, this thing's still unconscious. Watoomb arrives out the door of the room. There's a squad of like 4 town guards stood with him. Their eyes widen slightly as they see this serpentine figure unconscious on the floor. Probably still a few bits of like splintered furniture lying next to where he got conked around the side of the head.
If you have any questions about what occurred here, ask him. And I point to Zan.
At which one of the guards walks over to him and he says, yes, we would appreciate the statement, sir.
I fill them in on everything that happened.
Okay, are you literally telling them everything that occurred?
Well, I don't go back to the dawn of time and start...
No. But, you know, I mean, or the fact that, like, he can speak all these languages, he referenced a key, etc.
Yeah, I don't hide any information from them.
Okay, not a problem. The guard looks a little bit puzzled, and he's like, "Well, I can't say I know much about keys and seals, sir. But as you say, if this person's been trying to rob you, you've done extremely well apprehending him. We'll handle this from here, sir." And his men start manhandling this unconscious body.
I also would have mentioned about the person whose life we need to save. So at this point, I would head out and go to the church.
Okay, not a problem. The guards take away this unconscious, like serpentine humanoid, and sort of disappear off towards, you assume, the civic tower where the sort of jail cells are, as a number of you visited previously. Meanwhile, Zan, you're heading to the Temple of Abraham, or the rest of you going with him?
Yeah. Okay.
I will.
Drax?
I don't have any reason not to go, but at some point I would like to go to my own temple.
Okay, not a problem. But for the moment, you all head over to the Temple of Abraham. You obviously recognise now. They know you've been in and you've been trying to help this guy out. So a couple of the sort of acolytes quickly hustle you through into this small side chamber where this man's still sort of like tossing and turning fitfully in his delirium, sweat sort of pouring off him, his eyes rolled back into his head. The priest is still putting like cold cloths on his forehead and trying to make him comfortable as best they can.
Okay, so
as you walk in, Zan,
yeah,
you recognise him previously, looks up at you and says, "Oh, there's been no change, I'm afraid. Looks like he's getting weaker."
I found the venom. I should be able to make an antidote, and I go back to like some of the herbalist stuff that I had left, and I had something sort of prepared, which is like a bunch of herbs and moss munched together, and basically I'm gonna pour we'll press the dagger into a bowl so it releases some of the venom. And then I'm gonna.
Now there's only a small amount of venom in the dagger. How much of it are you putting into the anti-venom?
How much? Like a shot glass full, or like 5 milliliters?
A shot glass full would be pretty much all the venom that's left in it.
Okay.
Obviously, you know that the more of it you use, the more likely you are to get a good result, because you're having to use the venom to make the anti-venom.
Okay, so I will use half, and just because I'm worried about encountering this again.
Okay. That's not a problem. Can you make me a medicine roll? I'll give you advantage due to your previous prep.
Yep. Would I also note if it seems, because I previously thought it was an actual bite mark, so would I note that I think this is a poison or a venom?
I'll tell you what, make a medicine roll and I'll tell you what you know about it.
Okay. 18.
Okay, as you're sort of taking the venom out of the dagger, the reservoir, obviously taking all due precautions and being safe, of course. As you take it out, you finally have a chance to like look at it in its raw form, because previously you can't really see it properly through this reservoir. As you take it out of this dagger, you're pretty sure that it's venom from a poisonous spider. If you wish to make a survival roll to see, or a nature roll to see if you can like narrow it down further, you can do. But that will be without advantage.
Would I possibly get advantage? Because, Drow Capital is poisonous spider central.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
okay, and that is 23.
Okay, you're pretty sure it's venom from a crimson skull spider, which are pretty much indigenous to the Underdark. They're not really found on the surface since they're very sensitive to light.
So I'll be saying this is from the Crimson Spider. I don't normally see them out of the Underdark. It's not like a huge hole was opened recently. Oh dear.
Okay,
Can you
with
save
your
this
medicine
man's
roll,
life?
you have been able to make the antivenoms, and you've administered it to this guy, and you're pretty sure the antivenom's doing its job. It's just whether he's got the strength left in his body now to sort of process it, but you should know within a couple of hours.
Alright. I tell this information to the priest.
One of the lay priests sort of like shakes you warmly by the hand and says, "Oh, thank you, sir. It's clear that it's a blessing from Abraham that you were able to help this poor individual. Thank you, sir." He really shakes your hand quite sort of energetically. I thought we lost him for sure. I mean, there was nothing we could do for him. Lord knows we tried. Thank you.
When he has fully rested and recovered, could you send word to us and I tell him where we're staying? We would speak to him.
Yes, of course. The weathered timber, you say? Yes. If he makes it, we'll pass on that message and we'll ask him to come and speak to you. I'm sure he'll want to express his gratitude. Anyway, once we tell him how you've saved this poor man's life.
Advise him not to travel alone.
Right.
Merely get word
Is he
to
in any
us.
further
We
danger?
won't come get him.
Is he in further
He was
danger?
attacked once. Someone tried to kill him once. They may try again.
Yes,
He was-
you're absolutely right.
He was only attacked because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. There is no more secret to preserve.
Fair enough. But we should speak, I said, companions, privately. It is good that we were able to help this man, but I feel he is but a clue, a footstep on a trail.
One of the priests says, "Please, you've done such a wonderful thing for this man, and we can see from his clothing that he's a man of few means, but we're sure he would want to thank you. We are not a wealthy order, but we'd like to at least give you some token of our thanks for your actions. And truly, you've been a blessing to this poor soul." At which point he sort of like taps one of the other priests on the shoulder, who walks into the main room and comes back carrying a fairly small wooden box, puts it down, and he takes a small sort of like leather pouch out and just like puts it on the side of the bed where this man is. And the priest who's been addressing you so far says, "It's not much, I'm afraid. Like I said, we're not a very wealthy order, but it's the least we could do for all the help you've given this poor fellow here."
Is it coins? Is it money?
He certainly made an appropriate chinking sound when he put it on the...
I'm going to push it back and say, no, but perhaps you could give us a blessing or some holy water? We may have need for it in the future.
Yeah, yes, of course. And he sort of gestures to the priest, who drops the pouch back into the box, closes it, and sort of takes it away again. Please, we didn't mean to insult you by offering you this money, but if a blessing, the blessing of Abraham will help you, or some of our holy water from our font will help you, of course, it's the least we could do. I'm afraid we can't spare a great deal of it since we use it for our ceremonies, but I certainly think we should be able to spare you a couple of flasks of it, if that would be of any use to you.
Well, it's good enough for me. I don't necessarily want to speak for my companions, but I'll nod.
Again, he sort of like taps the junior priest on the shoulder, who walks off, and he comes back in carrying a couple of earthenware flasks, which he sort of hands over to you, Watoomb. You feel like liquid sloshing around in them as he hands them over to you. That is water from our blessed by the Lady Cassandra herself. At which point he looks at the junior priest and says, "Well, where is Lady Cassandra, by the way? I'm sure she'd want to thank these people in person." He says, the junior priest says, I don't know. She went out to run some errands earlier, and I've not seen her since."
And that sounds ominous.
Should we check up on her health? It could not harm.
Well, they don't know where she
leaving?
is, so that makes no sense.
I take Watoomb aside 1 second. If this creature, as quietly as I can, if this creature is after your wand, would it make sense that he's also after Cassandra's? Are they that close of a pair?
Her wand is different than mine. Similar, but not the same. Still, this creature mentioned a collective. Let us speak in our room in private. I thank you. I'm going to nod to the priest.
"Oh no, thank you, sir. Thank you." And he sort of like he holds his hands up in a gesture like that towards you and says, "The blessings of Abraham be upon all of you."
All right, so I'm going to suggest we head back to the weathered timber.
Drax is most amicable to that idea.
Okay, no problem. As you're making your way back through the streets, obviously it's getting darker now. The streets are slowly starting to empty as people are trying to get themselves shut up inside, ready for the evening. There's still a few people about, but the streets are a good deal quieter than when you first travelled here. And you reach the weathered timber in good time. You can hear a lot of sort of boisterous sort of like talking from inside, and as you go in, you can see the landlord sort of sat at a table in the corner, a number of other sort of salty-looking sea dogs around him, and he's like, "Yes, I tell you the truth, bloody mermaid, hair as long as this, blonde, saw her myself on the rocks."
Well, that's very possible in this world. I'm going to suggest we move up to our room, perhaps grab a bottle of wine en route, and have a discussion there.
I won't order a wine or anything, but I'll see if I can take a plate of food up.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You
Drax
guys
will give the bartender a nod as he goes past.
Well, you see, it's he's actually now like, sat in the corner talking about mermaids, but as he sees you, he's like, Drax, come over and join us. Have a drink, man."
I'll tell my companions I'll be up in a second. I'll come over, have a quick chat with this guy.
Yeah, I'm just going for one quick pint, right?
Oh,
I got you.
just a cheeky one.
Right.
Okay, you sit down with these sailors, and Watoomb, Avaestar, and Zan head up to your room with your provisions.
The first thing I'm going to do up there is I'm going to split up the 12 electrum, so that's 3 apiece.
What is this?
This is money I recovered off of that creature.
How much is it worth compared to a gold piece?
Half. 2 of these are 1 gold piece.
No. So I have 1 of those?
3 each. There was 12.
Okay.
Total.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so I put it away.
We have some clues we can put together here. This
Just
creature.
a quick question, by the way, guys. Did you keep the dagger? Obviously, you kept the poison dagger. Did you keep the other dagger as well?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I have
fine.
them.
I gave them to Zan. I think Zan
Drax
had
never
them.
handled them, so he hasn't got one. But
Yeah, that's fine. Don't worry, they're not
passed them over to
poison
Zan.
or anything. I'm just checking.
okay.
So I'm going to do a summation to my companions. I tell them that this creature mentioned masters capable of fighting against the Gith. A master, rather, changing people so they could fight against the Gith. The Underdark. We have evidence of spider venom. So, the Drow. I'm going to suggest that the Drow may be involved. When Avaestar returns, I'm going to ask his opinion on the Drow, being elven related, perhaps.
If only there was someone who would know something of the Drow. If only.
Perhaps an elf. That would be most helpful. Avaestar seems unusually silent. Poke away the stick, make sure you're still breathing.
No, I'm fine. I was just miles away, thinking about things.
Did you hear what we said, though?
Just to clue you in, Avaestar, that you've all headed back to the tavern, the Weathered Timber, where you're staying.
Yeah.
And Drax is having a drink downstairs with the salty sea dogs, and the rest of you are up in your room.
Anyway, okay, that's fine.
And I was telling the everybody. Oh, also you got 3 electrum pieces. I was telling everybody how I think this guy is connected to the Drow. He mentioned a master. He mentioned a force capable of fighting the Gith, spider venom, the Underdark, and there's a recent hole in town. So the clues seem to point towards that.
So you're suggesting this hole leads down to a settlement underground, a cave,
The Underdark is an entire world that is under the surface.
Yes,
From what I have
know.
read, elves of a different.
Yeah, so
of course.
the Drow who's in
Sorry.
your group, so sits there and he's like, yeah,
Sorry. Yeah, I'll let Zan speak to it. Yeah. We got proof right there.
Yes, the spider venom is clearly from the Underdark, deep in the Underdark. They would not venture near the surface for fear of light. I don't know how large that hole in the ground is, but my suspicion is that it does lead to the Underdark.
Okay, for a moment, I'm going to cut away to Drax, who is making merry with the various sailors and sort of assorted smugglers and pirate types who are downstairs, along with Halla Eriksson, the owner of this establishment. Now, Drax, can you please tell me what someone who was well schooled in sort of nautical matters and history might know about the ship that you sailed on?
He would know, the basic information would be that it was a slaver ship, part of a bigger sort of collection of pirates in the area.
And
Quite
it's called the Crimson Carbuncle, I believe.
Yeah. Quite well known for being a bit ruthless to those it encountered that weren't part of its crew. Not necessarily feared, but respected in pirate circles. They tended to prey on other slavers to steal their cargo and crew, as well as any merchants in the area.
Oh, and what became of the Crimson Carbuncle? Is it still plying the waves, or?
Mm-hmm. Well, Drax left it, shall we say, in a kind of dramatic fashion. There may have been a few of the crew left, but not many after his departure. As far as he knows, it may still be out there.
Okay. As you're sat there and you're talking, the Halla is like, oh, yes, this is boys, this is my new friend Drax. Sailed on the Crimson Carbuncle, apparently. At which point one of the other sailors goes, well, I heard as how that was a slaving vessel.
Indeed it was.
Yeah, I've heard of the Crimson Carbuncle. Oh, nasty bunch, them, you know. I wouldn't want to gone on the wrong side of them.
Some of the nastiest, my friend. Only the strongest could survive on that vessel. Give him a kind of a wicked smile.
He says, yeah, so this sailor says, "So, stranger, if you don't mind me asking, Drax, did you say? Did Haller say your name was?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind me asking, what's a merciless slaver doing knocking about in a place like Battlebridge?"
That is where I used to be, my friends, before I found the Great Yard. The Stormlord took me in after I parted ways with my crew.
A couple of the people at the table
had some
oh
disagreements.
yeah, praise Lord. Keeps us safe when we're out on the blue.
Sanctuary to those who seek it. Wrath
Indeed.
to those foolish enough.
Haller smacks his hand on the table a few times and then pats you on the back and he's like, "Well said, well said. Get another round of drinks in. Hawley, drinks for everyone. Bring them over here." And he sort of pats you on the back and he's like, there he sort of slams a flagon into your hand and he's like, "There you go, Drax. Get another one of those down." I was just about to tell the story of the time I fought the great horned whale of the South Seas. At which point a couple of the sailors are like, "Oh God, here we go again." One of them's like, "Oh, we've heard this story loads of times, Haller, and I still say it's bullshit." And he's like, "Wow, you might say that. You didn't see it up close like I did. Bloody big horn coming out the centre of its head. Oh, teeth that could just snap a man in two. Oh, it was terrible. It's one of the most fearsome things I've ever said." At which point one of the other sailors is like, "You say that about everything, every sort of crazy creature that you cram into your bullshit stories, Haller." At which point, rather than taking offence, he just laughs and says, "Wow, you're all the fools who are here listening to me every night, so what does that say about you, Finnegan?"
The ocean is a scary place to those who don't respect it.
At which point Finnegan sort of laughs and goes, "Yeah, you're not wrong there," and takes another slug on his ale. And they generally carry on chatting like that. After a few moments, the door to the tavern opens, and as you sort of look around, Drax, you see an incredibly beautiful woman walk into the tavern. She looks around for a few moments, walks over to the bar, and then says, in a very soft voice, says, "Excuse me, where's the owner of this establishment?" At which point, Hawley, who's behind the bar, says, "He's the loud one over there talking about the horned whale." "Oh, thank you very much, sir." And she walks over to the table, stands just behind you, Drax, where you're sat next to Haller. And as she walks over, you notice that could you actually make me a perception roll to see what you do notice?
Okay. That would be a 22.
Okay, it might just be your imagination, but you could swear as this woman walks over, the temperature in the immediate area just drops by a degree or two.
Like my grog just becomes slightly more chilled than usual. Like it's actually not room temperature for a change.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
She walks over and she looks at yourself and Drax and says, "Sorry to interrupt you, gentlemen. Which one of you is the owner of this establishment?" At which point Haller sort of turns around and he says, "Well, I'm the owner of." "Oh, hello, yes, I'm the owner of this establishment." He says, "Oh, I wonder if you had time to talk to me. I'm going around trying to gain support from local businessmen to protest the awful treatment that some of the citizens of Battlebridge have been receiving recently. I wonder if you had a few moments to speak to me privately about it." At which point Haller, who's obviously had quite a bit to drink, sort of frowns, scratches his bushy eyebrows with his beard and says, "Treated poorly? I'm sorry, lady, I don't know what you're talking about." He says, "Well, it can't have escaped your notice, but recently a number of the citizens of particular descent have been harassed, harangued, and detained by the town guard of this once noble town, simply for the fact that they have Orcish blood or are of Orcish descent. Now, as a concerned member of Battlebridge, I am hoping to get support to make a public protest about this scandalous treatment." Well, I've never really thought about it. I don't have much truck with orcs myself, but yes, I'd be quite happy to to talk to you about this. Although it might be a good idea if you talk to me about it in the morning. I have had a little bit to drink. I won't be making any serious decisions at the minute.
You've only had about 12, Ericsson.
At which point he looks at you and he is, that's quite right, Drax. But as I said, I'm not quite as young as I used to be. Goes a bit to my head, a bit more than it used to. Why? Back when I was on the Flying Flounder, well, I used to drink a barrel of it before I went out amidship, and I'd still be up for duty in the morning. Did I ever tell you about that? And he starts like rambling off. At which point the woman behind him goes, "Oh yes, sorry, lady. I'll quite happily speak to you in the morning." And he looks past her out the door and says, "But it's getting very dark and it's getting very late. The bells will be chiming any moment. In all good conscience, I can't send you back out into the night when it's getting so close to the witching hour." At which point the woman smiles and says, "Well, then I'll quite happily pay for a room for the evening here if you have space available. I'm sure whatever you have will be fine." Which is, yeah, he says, "Go over and speak to my brother Hawley there. He'll sort you out a room and we'll have a chat in the morning. Lady," which he says, "Lady Nazara." "Ah, Lady Nazara. Well, just go over and speak to my younger brother and he'll sort you out a room." She smiles and says, "Thank you. You're too kind."
John, right, just in case I forgot, is that one of the names on the list?
It is
From the
indeed.
previous edition? Right, okay. Just I want to make sure I was getting confused. Cool.
The Nazara name on the list was he's a Nazara.
Okay, at that note, Drax will make his thanks for the invite, and he's going to join his companions. If Ericsson's off to sort.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. You join the rest of your companions in one of the rooms, and we will cut back to the scene with all of you gathered around in this room, discussing your next move, perhaps.
So when he comes in, I'm going to give him his 3 electrum pieces and bring him up to speed on our conclusions regarding the involvement of the Drow and the Underdark. If only there was a Drow here who could elaborate on what life in the Underdark is like.
I've only heard tales of such places. I've never been to these cities, but I heard they exist.
I stare at Zan. If only someone could elaborate on knowledge of the Underdark.
By the way, Avaestar, someone from that list of yours that you were talking about earlier today is downstairs in the bar. I thought you should know. It's one of the reasons why I came up.
Oh, do you know who?
Yes. It's Norza? I'm going to say that wrong, aren't I?
Nazara.
Nazara, there you go.
Nazara.
Mm-hmm.
She could bode fairly well in my endeavours. Although I'm running out of time since I've been traipsing around with you. Oh, obviously for a good reason. I'm not saying it was time wasted, but it appears that my family are going to be here quite soon. Maybe I'll have a word with her in the morning if she is still there.
I believe she is staying the night, but I thought I should let you know as soon as I realised it was someone.
In fact, as you're saying this, Drax, you notice that anyone who's near the door will notice that it seems to have got a little bit colder in the room.
Oh.
Is there a window open?
I do not believe so.
You hear the sound of a door a couple of rooms down, opening and shutting, and then gradually the temperature returns to normal.
Strange. Perhaps
You all in the room. Zan appears to be lost in thought.
Perhaps the door just simply was opened and then shut, and letting the cold air in. Oh well. I suppose with all this talk of magic, it's got me a little jumpy.
Perhaps. Do you believe we should go to the Underdark Watoomb? Is that what you're suggesting? I'm not against the idea, but I'm not sure how.
Might not be the most safe option.
You sound like you've been there.
He's a drow.
I'm from there.
Oh,
I'm assuming that it is quite dangerous.
Very.
Well,
It's a hassle to even get there.
so you're from there, but you have no idea what that creature was after. The seal, the keys, all that sort of
I've
stuff.
never seen a creature such as that.
It would seem, Watoomb, as you sometimes say, it's like we have many pieces of a puzzle, but we don't know what it is we're putting together here.
We know that an evil force, backed by drow, seeks several wands to use them to open a seal. The wands are keys. Opening the seal will let a power through that dwarfs even that of the Gith. Now, I think the best bet, at least one option, would be to keep the keys away from them, or seek them out before they can find them. I think we should track down any ones they have not yet recovered.
It's just Cassandra's.
My siblings have 4 wands similar to this, and Cassandra mentioned that there were 4 wands similar to hers. Perhaps we might speak with a Father Aesop.
Father Ace. Have we met this father before?
No, High Father Aesop is the one who gave Cassandra the wand in her first place.
Right, okay. Does not seem like a bad idea. I'm open to traveling anywhere where potentially I can find my own kin. They may turn up in unexpected places.
If anyone else has suggestions on how we might thwart this seemingly evil plan.
They spoke of a seal?
Information would be good. What is this?
Yes.
Hmm.
The creature alluded that these wands were a key to open a seal.
That's not good. There's a... I guess legend is about overstating things, but the generation before me, they tried to... They tried to defeat the great oppressors, Geth, clarify. They tried to defeat them by summoning powerful forces, but something went wrong and our species was changed forever and we retreated underground. It was after this time Lolth ascended and became the new goddess of the Drow elves. But the beings that were tried to summon, that my people tried to summon, they are said to have been sealed away. They are powerful, powerful entities called the Trismagoi. You've probably never heard of them, but they are ancient entities. Although I did hear another story where the Trismagoi were the people who summoned them, and the name of the entities was some sort of number, but I didn't really pay a lot of attention to those stories. Does that sound similar?
It sounds unknown to me.
Sounds
I do know
disturbing.
that this creature did not seem to have everyone's best interests at heart. He called elves weak. I do not think we should assist them in that plan. In fact, I think the opposite. I suggest we seek out as many of these wands as we can, if for no other reason, if to keep them from acquiring them.
I certainly do not wish to see the Gith return. or worse things come out.
Indeed, preventing that is why I am out here.
Rough seas ahead, just as Nord wants it.
Lady Cassandra mentioned that High Father Aesop is in the town of Abraham. Perhaps we should go there next and speak to him.
If this town is left and that hole's in the center, might not bode well for the townsfolk.
Are you suggesting the town is incapable of defending itself without our presence?
I'm suggesting they don't know what they're up against.
Yes, that is wise. We can speak to the captain and inform him of what we know, and Lady Cassandra as well.
If these creatures are from the Underdark, are more of those things going to crawl out of that hole we discovered? Is this but the first one of many?
Time. The Drow, not many people know this. The Drow people have many surface agents on the surface, whose job is to infiltrate, report, and sometimes even sabotage.
Are you one of those agents?
No.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes, I am, and I must kill you all now.
Well, the last character you played turned out to be an asshole, so we're just checking. You know.
In character, I'm adjusting my collar at that rather embarrassing comment.
Well, no, I know, but Zan's not Watoomb's not tactful, and I generally ask that question though. Are you such an agent?
Yeah, I just respond no, bluntly. My sister was.
Was?
I can see where this is going.
Oh, sorry, I misspoke. Is that where you saw it going?
The past of your family is none of our business, and you two shouldn't pry us out of this one.
It may very well be related. If she is an agent, she might be able to provide the information to this evil group.
But, yes, but I'll have no idea where she is.
Perhaps in the future she may be a resource of information.
Perhaps she will find you in time.
Possibly.
If she's a surface agent.
You said it's evening time now, John?
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest that we get some sleep, and in the morning we go speak to that guard captain, and then seek out Lady Cassandra, and then maybe go from there.
Okay.
We can warn them about the whole, this invasion force, the thievery, everything.
Okay, not a problem. So, does anyone else want to do anything in the evening before you all bed down, get your rest, etc.?
Avaestar's going to be sensible.
Not really, but I want to say, since I don't need to sleep that much, I only need 4 hours, and I've already done so today. I'm going to wait till after that witching hour thing. Then I'm going to just walk around outside, getting to know the area.
Yeah, that's
and then I'll return to then spend time for breakfast.
Okay, yeah, so not a problem. After the witching hour is finished and the bells have chimed one, you have a walk around, the mist sort of dissipating. You explore the area around. There's a lot of residential buildings around here. Let me just bring up the map for you. There we go. So hopefully you can see that. obviously, that is where you guys are at the minute, in the weathered timber. As you sort of wander around, you can basically see there's a dock here, the Easter docks. There's what appears to be a large fishmonger's and a butcher's there. There is a couple of other sort of places connected with beer, like there's a beer cellar there. There's a few other sort of places dotted around, like a cooper's, and there's various sort of stonemasons and carpenters sort of like down here. And you just have a bit of a general wander around and like familiarise yourself with the area. You're on mute.
You weren't supposed to hear what I was saying, but I'll repeat it anyway.
Cunning.
So now I can say that I know where anything is pretty much.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Without worrying too much.
Okay, as you're returning to the tavern, like I say, it's early morning now. It's probably sort of like about sort of like 1:30 in the morning. By the time you've had your walk around and you return back, you hear sort of like a fairly sort of soft voice coming from one of the rooms on the second floor of the tavern, and you hear what appears to be someone singing like a song, and it's in Elven. It's a lament, really. It's an old sort of like folk song, a lament for a lost love.
Okay. That is of no interest to Zane whatsoever.
Indeed.
I will retire for the night.
What may interest you, however, though, Zan, is as you're sort of listening to this song and you're returning, is that it's a very particular sort of dialect of Elven that it's being sung in. One that you're extremely familiar with.
Wood elf.
Gith. Is it Gith? Is it the
It's
Gith
in-
language?
It's in your principal dialect.
Okay. So, in which case, are there still people about in the tavern?
There's a couple of the staff about, getting the place ready, but no one's really up yet 'cause it's dead early in the morning.
I'll ask one of the serving people, like, is there anyone else like me, of my race?
The serving woman and he stops and says, "No, I don't believe so, sir."
Okay.
And she goes about her business, cleaning the tables, etc.
Yeah. Alright, so... wait, before that I'll ask if there are any other elves.
Oh no, we've got a. Well, there is a gentleman staying here who's an elf. Aside from that and yourself, no, it's mostly dwarves and humans, and there's the Nazara woman who's in. But well, you know what they say about her sort.
No.
She says, "Oh well, you must have heard of House Nazara. They've got a bit of a reputation."
For what?
Well, she leans in a bit closer and her voice drops conspiratorially and says, "Well, I'm not really one to gossip, but all the rumours about their like blood being tainted. Now, you must have heard the rumours, surely, sir." To be honest, I don't know why. I don't know why the town council hasn't kicked them all out. To be honest, but you know what they say, money talks, I suppose.
Indeed, it does. So, I'll thank them, say goodbye. I'll walk upstairs, and is the song still going on?
Yeah, it's coming from sort of like 2 or 3 rooms down from yours.
Now, is it a drow song, or is it like a normal elf song sung in drow?
It is indeed a drow song.
Oh, okay.
It's the ancient tale of, it's like one of the old legends from when your people first went underground. It's a legend of 2 elves who were very much in love, one from the Braith or the Brotherhood that eventually became the Drow, and another who was from a different family. Now, when the sundering occurred and the Drow were split off, they were separated. The lady forced to retreat into the Underdark with her Braith, her Brotherhood, her clan, and her lover left on the surface, never to be united again. It's like I say, it's like a lover's lament, effectively.
Okay. So I will knock on the door.
Okay, you knock on the door. The door opens, and a young, fairly good-looking human woman who has a slight sort of odd sort of like bluish tinge to her hair sort of opens the door. She's wearing just like a nightgown. Opens the door and says, "Yes, can I help you?" Obviously, as soon as she opens the door, the singing stops.
Yes. Well, I've never seen a human with blue hair, but Zane doesn't know it's impossible yet.
As you're talking to her, you notice that like
I haven't.
your breath. Well, sorry, as you sort of stood there and you're breathing, you notice that I assume you're breathing rather than you're sort of holding your breath for any particular reason. But as you're breathing, you notice that like the vapor of your breath is like visible as though you're on a frosty morning.
Sorry, I couldn't help but hear you singing an ancient drow song. I thought you might be another drow.
At which point, in the same dialect of, let's just call it drow, so we'll be clear about what we're talking about, she responds back to you and says, oh no, I'm not. Sorry if I've misled you. If my singing's irritating you, I can stop. I didn't realise anyone was still awake at this time.
No, I don't really care. You don't normally run into another drow on the surface.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but as I am not of your brotherhood, you still haven't run into another drow on the surface. But tell me, it's rare to see one of the princes of the Underrealm on the surface. What brings you to this place?
Well, I've never been called that before, even though I am technically a prince.
Which she bows.
I smile. I was brought here on a mission to restore the goddess Alistrae.
I must confess that I'm somewhat ignorant of drow religious beliefs. I picked up the song from a colleague of mine. I like the melody. It's a very sad song, and it speaks to me. I occasionally sing it, just to remind myself that, well, no matter how dark things get, they can always get worse. So we should be thankful for what we have.
That's interesting. So yes, you can continue with your singing. It doesn't bother me. I was just sled.
Thank you. And she sort of like gently lays a hand on your shoulder in a sort of like reassuring gesture. As she does put a hand on your shoulder, a hand feels quite cold. And then she sort of says, "Oh, thank you very much." And she says, "Well, if there's nothing else, I'll try and keep it down a little bit so as not to disturb anyone. Good evening to you."
Give her a bow and leave.
A few moments later, you hear the singing start up again, although it's at a much lower volume now. And at which point, if no one else has anything they wish to do, we will fast forward to when people start waking up early in the morning. The sunlight is now sort of like filtering over the horizon. You can hear the sound outside of carpenters, stonemasons, the various dock workers starting to get ready to go to their day's work. There's voices of like traders and people shouting between shops across the streets. You can hear the sound of the staff sort of basically emptying people out of the tavern and setting tables, cleaning down, etc. And you all begin to wake up.
Yeah, I'm going to wake up and do like a quick wash. Then I will magically clean my own clothes.
Nice.
And I'm going to head downstairs to get some breakfast. Tea.
Okay. Not a problem. As you walk into the main bar, you can see the same woman I've described previously appears to be sat at a table with the owner of the establishment, Halla Eriksson. They're having some sort of conversation, and his brother, Hawley, is behind the bar. As you walk in, he says, "Oh, good morning, sir. Did you sleep well?"
Yes, I slept much better in this establishment than the previous one.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, sir. We do like to pride ourselves on the standards of care we set for our guests. Is there anything I can get you ready, sir? A little bit of breakfast, a little bit of a drink.
That sounds very welcome. No alcohol this early in the morning, though. Perhaps some tea. You have it? Right,
tea coming up, sir. It'll just take me a few moments to heat the water up, but we've got plenty of tables free, sir. If you sit yourself down, I'll bring it over in a few moments.
Yep, I'll nod and find a seat.
You sit down.
I'd like to sit maybe within the earshot of this woman, if that's possible.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. As you sit down, you can hear this woman. The conversation appears to be, as previously, she's having an earnest discussion with the owner of the establishment, Halla Eriksson, discussing that she's trying to go around and basically putting together some sort of petition from local businessmen and traders and people of influence that she can then take to the civic tower and the sort of ruling body of Battlebridge to protest what she calls the scandalous treatment that people of Orcish descent are receiving currently in Battlebridge due to the actions of a fringe group of extremists. You hear her say, after all, for instance, if a human commits a crime, we do not immediately start arresting all humans on the assumption that they are guilty of colluding in some way. Why should it be any different for people of Orcish descent? After all, if a dwarf stole someone's mule or something similar or committed a crime, we would not be seeking to round up all of the dwarves and try them for collusion. Why should it be any different just because people are of Orcish descent? At which point you hear Holler say, "Well, yes, you do have a point there, Lady Nazara. So tell me, what are your own interests in this matter?" At which point he says, "Well, as someone who's felt the sting of popular misconceptions against her kind, my heart goes out to the plight of these poor people. After all, most of them live in abysmal conditions. The shanty towns of Trolltown, they have little enough joy as it is, but we now have to add to this by heaping persecution and villainy on them. Is it not enough that they already live in such dismal conditions without us dragging them in for questioning simply because of their bloodline and because one of their kind committed a vile and horrendous murder?" At which point the conversation carries on much in this vein. She seems to be slowly winning over the owner of the establishment to putting his name to this petition she's putting together. At this point, I'm going to ask, which of you is the next one to wake up?
Probably me, since I've slept a lot.
I'm technically already awake, so
Okay, so what I'm going to say is at this point that Avaestar and Zan, you sort of meet each other on the landing and both head downstairs into the bar, where you see Watoomb, who's now got his tea, been brought over by the young dwarf, skin-headed dwarf behind the bar. He's sat there sort of gently sipping his tea at a table.
I'll go order food.
Tea. Good idea, Watoomb.
What can I get for you? Says the young dwarf behind the bar to yourself, Zan. What would you like?
Whatever.
He says, "Well, we've got some nice svelte porridge, if that'd interest you, sir. Very fresh, very nice. A little bit of milk in it. Beautiful."
That's fine.
That would interest me.
Oh well, two of those coming up. And did I hear you mention tea, sir? He says, looking at you, Avaestar.
Yes. Do you have some herbal tea?
Well, as it just happens, I've just heated up some water for the gentleman over there. So yeah, if you two want to go and sit yourselves down, I'll bring your food and your tea over when they're ready.
Very nice.
And indeed, a few minutes later, after you've been sat down, he does bring these 2 bowls of svelte porridge over to you and a cup of tea. And then he goes back to the bar. At this point, Drax, you start slowly sort of like waking up in the room. You can hear sort of like a bit of conversation downstairs, and you can hear people shouting outside in the streets, possibly the bells of a few boats moving down the river. But other than that, it's just a normal sort of hubbub you'd hear in a busy sort of town like Battlebridge. Nothing untoward that you can hear. And presumably you start making your way downstairs.
Well, Drax will take a moment or two while he's getting ready to offer a prayer up to Njord, since he's by the ocean for a change. He feels more connected to his lord when he's next to his domain. And just thanks him for showing him a righteous path. This seems like this is going to take him to where he needs to go, and he's met some strange bedfellows recently, but this is interesting.
Okay, can you please make me a religion roll, Drax?
A religion roll? Yeah. I didn't know that was a thing, but I can do that. It's a 14.
Okay, as you're saying your prayer you feel invigorating. It's almost as though you can smell the sort of salt air of the sea wafting through the window. And as you sort of look down at the river, which is like some distance away, you can still see bits of it between the buildings. For a few moments, you think you see something sort of long and sinuous and shadowy sort of moving beneath the water, but then when you blink your eyes, it's gone again. It's just the clear blue of the river. You know that as you look out of the window, if I bring up the map again for you, where you are looking out of the window, sort of in that direction, you're pretty much looking at the place where the Swiftwater River, the River Bray, and the River Avon all meet each other, sort of in the centre of Battlebridge. You can see a number of boats moving about on the river, the sailors on board the ship shouting to each other. You see no further sign of the sort of dark shape you saw. And after a few moments, you begin to wonder whether you even saw it at all.
Drax will take this as a sign that to beware things are not what they seem. This was a message. Keep an eye out. Friends could be enemies, enemies could be friends. And he'll come down and have some gruel.
Okay, not a problem. You head down, you see the rest of them, you all sort of gather around the table. As you're sort of getting down there, Drax, you see the beautiful woman you saw previously has put a parchment which you can just about see has like a number of like names on it, and she puts it on the table in front of Hala, who passes him a quill and puts an ink pot on the table, and he sort of says, "Well, you've certainly made a very good point, Lady Nazara. Yes, I'll quite happily put my name to your petition." And he signs his name in sort of very straight, sort of jagged lines on this petition, at which point she rolls it up tucks it into her belt and says, "You've been most gracious, Mr. Erickson. Thank you very much. I'm sure with the help of stalwart people like yourself, we can really make a difference in this matter. Thank you again." "Oh, think nothing of it, Lady Nazara. Think nothing of it. Well, I would be interested to know a little bit more about what exactly comes of this. I must say, I don't see how signing my name on a piece of paper is really going to help all that much. But, well, stranger things have happened." At which point she says, "Quite. Thank you again, good sir. Good day to you." And she turns and walks out of the door. At which point,
excuse me, Lady Nazara?
she stops at the door, turns around, and in a soft voice says, "Yes?"
You may not know me, but I am one of the Tholish.
"Indeed I don't." "Ah. And what is it you wish from me, Avaestar Foliage?"
So Avaestar has kind of gone from his incredibly upstarty, confident voice to a little sort of feeble and shy, and he sort of looks away a bit and he says, "Well, I would simply like to ask you for a favour in a more private setting, perhaps."
Her mouth sort of quirks up in a little bit of a smile, and she says, "Well, I'm just about to return to the Temple of 1,000 Pleasures, but you can find me there if you wish."
Then I will approach you there. I have interrupted you, it's obvious, yes.
"Very well. If you're not aware of where my establishment is located, we're opposite the Temple of Njord, just on Chisel Road. I'm sure if you ask around, anyone will be happy to tell you where it is.
Thank you.
We're quite well known."
I will come and speak to you soon.
"Good day to you then, Sir Tholage," and she turns around and walks out of the door.
I suppose I was never really cut out to be a noble.
And that pretty much leaves you guys as like really the only people in the bar. Most of the other people seem to have like left. You know, they've got early starts, etc.
So now what?
I need
Now
to speak to
we-
her at a more convenient time.
We seek out the guard captain and we inform him of what has been going on, of the attacks and of our suspicions of the hole in the ground. And then we track down Lady Cassandra. We speak to her of this. If she has a wand similar to mine, she may also be in danger.
Okay, let's go Lady Cassandra first then. That sounds more urgent.
Okay, so you guys, pretty much the Temple of Abraham is like a couple of streets away from the weathered timber where you guys are. So it doesn't take you much time to make your way there. As you do, you see there's a little bit of commotion there. There's like several of the sort of junior priests, sort of the lay priests, moving around, sort of looking a little bit worried.
I'm going to approach one of them. Do you know where Lady Cassandra is?
Let me guess, she's missing.
How do you know this?
That's it. The priest says exactly the same thing at the same time. He's like, how did you know?
I'm psychic.
The priest accuses
I
you of
turn
meditating.
and walk out.
Drop
no,
your mic and walk out.
No, because last night they said, oh, she hadn't returned in hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're...
That's right. That's right, sir. She never turned up for morning prayers. It's really unlike her. She's very dedicated.
Okay. Do you know what errand she was doing?
Well, she was travelling around the city. We like to encourage people to feel they can come up and speak to us on the street. So you may have seen several of our brothers and sisters priests out on the streets talking to the masses. Well, we like to say that the word of Abraham is not just confined to the walls of this temple around us. We like to think it's wherever the people are. I believe she was going out to talk to some, and he's rambling on quite quickly. He's obviously quite worried. I think she was sorry, sir.
She was
Yes,
going
where was she going?
Yes, of course. I believe she was heading to the area of the North Bridge Market. I'm sure you're aware that the market itself it is only opening up today. It only opens every 10 days, and well, I think she was planning on travelling there and addressing some of the people who work there. Then she'd normally pick up a few small odds and ends and things she needed on the way back, and a few provisions that we like to give out to the less fortunate as they come in for prayers. And no, she never came back into. She hasn't shown up for morning. Really, quite unlike, sir. Quite unlike.
Yes.
So we are on the search for her. We should begin our search there, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'll head for the North Bridge Market swiftly.
Okay. You head towards the North Bridge Market, and as you start getting there, as you're heading over the North Bridge towards it, you see what appeared to be a small crowd sort of gathered around, and you notice there's quite a lot of sort of town guard stood around the market square.
Oh, and she's probably dead.
As you get a little bit closer, you can see that there's what appears to be a sheet sort of laid over someone lying in the centre of the market square.
I suppose you know the identity of this person too, I say to Zan.
Lady Cassandra?
Perhaps you are psychic.
As you get in close, you can see at several points on the sheet, like blood has soaked into this sort of sheet that's been laid over the body.
We'll make our way through the crowd and get a closer look, I guess.
As you start moving forward, one of the town guards steps forward and says, "I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to keep back, sir. This is a crime scene."
What's going on? Who's been killed?
I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to discuss that at the minute, sir, pending our investigation.
We may have information important to the case. We have done work for your boss before. Please, it is important we see.
Okay, at this point, can you make me a persuasion roll, Watoomb? And I'm going to say you have advantage because you're name dropping their boss again.
Yeah, it seems to work with these guys. Here's a crit, so.
Okay, no, probably says it. One of the town guards stood behind him says, "Yeah, he says I've seen these. I've seen these lot before. They did some jobs for Captain Telemon. I think they're like consultants or something." At which point he says, "Oh, well, but that's different. Please, come through. I should warn you, it's a little gruesome though." And he sort of like escorts you through the crowd towards where you stood at the side of this body, covered in this sheet.
So, I'm going to confirm that it's Lady Cassandra, and I'm going to check for puncture marks, or at least, failing that, signs of what killed her.
Well, there's blood, so it's not like a small puncture mark.
Okay,
it's like you are psychic.
You lift off the sheet, and you can see that it is indeed Lady Cassandra, and her body is covered in numerous lacerations which are leaking blood into the cloth that was over her. However, as you do look, you can see that there, on the sort of side of her neck, there is like a discoloured patch of flesh, and there are 2 puncture marks.
Told you he wasn't alone.
Specimen blood.
This assassin or thief we uncovered, it seems he is not the only one who uses these methods. I'm going to ask one of the guards where their boss is, whose name I didn't write down. I know it starts with a T.
Telemon.
Right, thanks.
No problems. The guard looks at you and says, I believe he's at the Civic Towers too. He's questioning a prisoner that was recently brought in.
Also, when was this body found?
Well, we've one of the market traders found it early morning when he came to start setting up his stall. We've unfortunately had to. Sorry, sir.
Was it just out in the open, like this?
Yeah, it's in the place where we left it, so we've not disturbed it at all. We've unfortunately had to ask all the market traders to hold off opening their stalls while we search the area.
Can I see where this is on the map, John?
Yep, you can indeed. Let me just bring it up for you. Okay, the market is here.
I can't see where your cursor. Oh, the north. Yeah. Sorry, you put an X. Okay, so this is a fairly busy street right next to it.
Yeah, it's extremely busy, especially at this point in time. Like I said, the market's only open every 10 days, but this is the day when it's open, so it'd be full of. Certainly, this morning it would have been full of traders getting their wares out, their stalls, bringing stuff to sell at the market. It would have been full of people trying to get there early and get a good deal, etc.
It's kind of logical to think that, obviously don't comment, but for me it's logical to think that he must have died after midnight. She must have been killed after midnight or something.
That makes sense.
Body was done.
Yeah, there'd be no reason for her to come here when no one's here. On a day when no one's here, right?
Actually, I'm gonna make an investigation an investigation check to see if it looks like her body was dumped here.
Okay, make me your investigation roll.
14.
Okay, judging by the lack of blood that has pooled around the body, given the deep lacerations, you'd expect there to be her to be pretty much lying in a pool of her own blood. That's not the case, so you think the body must have been dumped here and probably killed elsewhere.
She killed.
If the murderers dumped the body in this spot, they either wanted it to be found or were in a hurry.
They probably didn't care. We should question the crowd of merchants.
Why carry her to this spot then? Why not just leave her where they killed her?
Maybe they want to showcase off their work.
Exactly.
And with that,
they wanted her to be found.
And with Watoomb saying exactly they wanted her to be found, that is where we are going to end the session for this evening. Thank you very much for playing, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. I still enjoyed running it. I'm quite happy, even that it's bank holiday, to stay online and chat for a bit after this session. But for now, I'm just going to say thank you to my excellent players, and for anyone who is watching either now or in the future. We will hopefully catch you all for session 9 in a couple of weeks' time. Take care.